Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of the MinnMax Show, place about games, friends, getting better. My name is Ben Hansen. I'm joined by surely the only person on this podcast, Jeff Marchiafava.
That's me and only me.
And only you. Now, Jeff, we got a hell of a show to get to. We are going to be talking about Baldur's Gate 3. We're going to be talking about the best farming games of 2023. Back half of the show, we have some great community questions. But wait, there's more! We're also joined by community manager Haley McLean.
Let's talk about games.
Get to the game.
Haley's classic chant. We're joined by Sarah Podzorski.
Hello.
Hello. Sarah, I like just the image in my mind of the comments that we receive after you haven't been on for a while of people screaming, "Where's Sarah? Give us Sarah, we riot in the streets." And then you finally make your grand re-entry and you say, hello.
You get what you deserve.
That's right. We're joined by...
Trying to keep me off the podcast. Trying to keep me silent on farming games.
Right.
Trying to silence my voice.
You know, maybe we'll get to farming next week. We got a lot to talk about in this episode. Leo Vader joins us as well.
Where's Sarah?
We're joined by Kelsey Lewin as well.
Farming only. This is a farming only podcast network or media network.
We're a media network. It is a weird bit of timing because we're already talking about the best farming games of 2023 after talking about Baldur's Gate 3 a little bit. But it's just, I think, just a weird coincidence that also for New Show Plus this week, what won was Sarah and I devouring the website myamericanfarm.org and playing all their browser games. So we are definitely backpedaling into becoming farming only content here at MinnMax.
The people
you wouldn't even have to change the title of the Patreon.
No, we're just money farming.
MinnMax works.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we are going to be talking about all that stuff. We're going to be talking about Dave the Diver. We're going to be talking about Monster Hunter Now, which I'm very curious about. Is it now? Is it later? It's later. We'll be talking about now. Couple things. A little bit of table setting before we get into this whole thing. First of all, the deepest dive. We had a poll for Patreon supporters. If you support us at any tier on Patreon, you got to vote for what game we're tackling next, with our huge multi-part game club series called The Deepest Dive. A lot of discussion, if you remember the podcast from 2 weeks ago, about like, are we splitting the vote? Are we shooting ourselves in the foot for potentially the most interesting one? Which way is this going to go? And their answer was no. The correct choice won based on the potential for the most interesting conversation, which was amazing. So we're going to be taking the deepest dive into Alan Wake 2 at the end of the month. Multi-part game club discussion. You can submit your thoughts in Alan Wake 2 for us to read during that by supporting us on Patreon, or you can unlock that full discussion and all of our other deepest dives and a ton more in the bonus podcast feed if you're a $5 supporter on Patreon. But it was a blowout. It was ridiculous. Alan Wake 2 got 671 votes. Spider-Man 2, undoubtedly one of the biggest games of the year, got 320 votes. Alan Wake 2 more than doubled the votes for Spider-Man, the most universally beloved character of all time, versus some schmuck writer? Unbelievable. And then Super Mario Brothers Wonder got 206 votes. 206 proud, lovely people who I do love, but Alan Wake just gave a good old Goomba stomp to Mario.
And none for City Skylines 2?
0 for City Skylines 2.
Nobody wants to have a deepest dive discussion about City Skylines 2?
Sarah? The YouTube channel is yours. If you and Jeff want to have your City Skylines discussions, please take the keys. Also, other bit of table setting. We have this Tuesday, October 17th, Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central, the next episode of Trivia Tower. But it's a very exciting one because this is Trivia Tower Tournament of Champions. Something I've wanted to do for a long time. We're bringing back everybody who has ever won in Trivia Tower to compete once and for all to figure out who is the smartest out of everybody who's ever won Trivia Tower. If you've won Trivia Tower, you're back for the Tournament of Champions, including the All-Stars. That's Jared Petty and Marcus Stewart from like the games media people. So that all is happening Tuesday, October 17th. And I hear you out there saying, well, that's boring for us. We get to watch good people be good, but we can't participate. To you, I say, nay. Not only can you participate, but your odds have never been higher for participating, because before the Tournament of Champions starts, at 7 p.m. Central, kind of the pre-show starts. And in the pre-show, how it works is if you support MinnMax at any tier on Patreon, you can jump in and compete yourself. And it's not going to be working your way up the tower. It's going to be basically just the first floor. And then if you get an answer correct in game trivia, you win a game code. So normally you have to make it to the third floor, but if you just get one question right in that first floor, you win a code for Star Wars Jedi Survivor, or we have a bunch of other options for you, like Wildcard Football and a ton of other stuff. So if you want to support us on Patreon. What's that?
Nothing. I was making fun of the way you said bunch.
Damn it.
Sorry.
No, take it away. Haley's going to plug the rest of Trivia Tower. I'm silent now.
it's going to be really fun on the mod side because we're going to have to look at so many answers to find all the codes, but we're ready to do it. We'll give you the codes.
It's going to be sweet. So Trivia Tower, if you want to help support it, your odds have never been higher for winning a code. So jump in there, get one question correct, and you can win a code for Star Wars Jedi Survivor and help support Independent Games Media at the same time. All right, enough of that boring stuff. Can we talk about this game that came out several months ago, Baldur's Gate 3? In the Monday meeting, Sarah, you shocked the world. We all dropped our coffee cups on the ground when you said that, like, I've only been on the podcast once to talk about Baldur's Gate 3, the game that has apparently redefined your life.
I don't know if you mean redefined my life, but I don't know if you remember this, Ben.
Yeah.
But way back in like January, you asked what our most anticipated games of 2023 was, and I said Baldur's Gate 3. I already knew this game was going to redefine my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Haley and I have a spin-off talk show to talk about how this game redefined our life.
Baldur's Girls. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
what
good.
we should have called it, actually.
Baldur's Gate Girls, yeah.
Yeah. That is, the Max spoilers. You all have covered Act 1 and Act 2 on the YouTube channel for MinnMax and also in the bonus podcast feed and stuff. So who all here has finished it? Hey, Sarah, you've finished it 6 Ways to Sunday. Haley, you're in the middle of Act 3, or where are you at for that thing?
I'm checking every bucket and every pail and every puddle. I don't know. That's just bucket stuff. I'm taking my sweet time. I'm dragging it out because I love it so much, which I haven't done in a really long time. I guess last time I did that was that was kind of recently with Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah. But I'm not going to Bowser or
I'm not going to Bowser. They won't take me.
I won't go. I'm not going to Ganon, and I'm purposefully walking around, trying on clothes, dyeing my clothes different colors, like that matters. I'm doing everything I could possibly do in this game, but I'm not done it yet.
Perfect. Kelsey, I know it's not exactly your jam so far, but how has your Baldur's Gate experience been?
I want it to be my jam more, and I think part of my problem is that I started playing it with my partner, and that has severely limited it's super fun that way, but it is really limited to the actual playtime, and I think it might just be time to cut him off and just do my own thing.
He doesn't listen to the podcast, does he?
I don't think so.
Thank God.
He's a Patreon supporter, though.
Really? Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
Not after he's heard this.
Yeah, no kidding. No. I disagree with Kelsey in the corner. Okay.
That's exactly what he sounds like, too.
Yeah.
Spot on.
Cool.
Yeah, I am enjoying it, but I haven't hit the I feel like there's got to be a point where you you hit the ice and you're just skating the rest of the way, and it just continues to be fun every moment. And I don't feel like I've hit that point yet, but I also think that's because it's been stops and starts in terms of actually getting to play. Yeah,
I'm with you. Where I dabbled when it first came out, and I tried to pick my save back up, which again was the very, very beginning, to be very clear, and jump back into it. And boy, I really want to like this game. It's not clicking with me yet, but really, I think it's just the combat. If I can get over combat, I'm not a tactics guy, the combination of focusing on tactics and just having a wall of different options in front of me, that is just instant paralysis for my very stupid guy brain. And so
the thing for me is I actually love tactics, but I apparently only love them on a grid.
Oh, interesting.
I apparently am terrible and get that paralysis of what to do if it's not little squares that I have to think about.
Well, it is. I mean, they're just really, really small squares, maybe triangles or whatever the hell it technically is in Baldur's Gate. Leo, I know you talked about it before in the podcast. What's your journey so far been like for the big BG, as we say?
I'm kind of with you and Kelsey in that I wish I was vibing with it more. I like tactics combat too, but I'm finding I like tactics combat when it's short fights where the decisions matter a lot.
Right.
And I feel like right now I'm presented with a million options, none of which sound very interesting. That's kind of where I'm at. I've given it 6 earnest tries, and I do want to keep hearing about it and keep getting pitched on why it's the best game of the year. Because this
is starting to feel someone said in the chat, this is starting to feel like a trap, and it is starting to feel like a trap.
No,
sounds like Ben hung Baldur's Gate 3 in front of my face. He's like, come here, Sarah. Let's talk about Baldur's Gate 3. And he got a panel of the 2 people on this team who aren't hot on it. And he was like, tell me about how it sounds vibing with, tell me more about how you're not clicking with it yet.
I'm trying to set the tone for maybe the most negative so that we can have the Riders of Rohan coming over the hill named Jeff Marchiafava.
Yeah, I've started it.
started
It
it.
sucks. I hate it.
Hang on.
The worst. We just there. No, I'm like 50 hours into it now.
Yeah.
I'm just hopeless. I have learned. Well, I guess it's an ongoing revelation that I have again and again. But I'm just like, I just got done with the Goblin Camp, and that's after like 50 hours. Is that normal, Sarah?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's normal.
That's normal.
You don't have to go see a doctor.
Because it
Mine
feels
was probably like 30. But I know other people, like if you
I'll
fully
take that.
explore and you fully grind through it, I feel like 50 is fair.
Okay. Because
especially if you're not used to this kind of gameplay, like maybe you didn't play Divinity or something.
Yeah, I felt like this is going to take me 1,000 hours based on how slowly I was going, because it's like the first side quest that you get is you go into that little druid grove, and I'm like still doing stuff in the druid's grove after all this time. But it surprised me so much. I have like, I think I've dabbled in every one of Larian's games to this point, and they have never really clicked for me. And this was the first time where it's like, where it's really firing on all cylinders, and it's in the center of like this Venn diagram that I feel like a lot of other games have come out this year that have some kind of flaws like on the peripheries. And this one, it's just like, I'm loving the story. I'm loving the characters. I super love the combat. I love like the exploration is really great. Like you walk 5 feet in any direction and you find some new side quest or, like some kind of item or something. The rewards are super great. And so it's just, it has completely consumed me at this point.
Okay, what about
in a way that I really wasn't expecting.
Walk me through the combat, because you're a tactics friendly kind of lad. What's wowing you with that?
Yeah, it is like I can appreciate looking at it as like, oh, there's a wall of choices and I don't know what to do with it. Like it is the most min-maxy game that I have ever played, certainly, which I suppose I shouldn't, like saying that the combat is good when the combat is just D&D, I suppose is not like the biggest revelation in terms of just like how many different options that they give you. And it's really building out characters in a way that like you create something really unique and that is then really overpowered because you figured out this synergy between all the different abilities that you can take and the items that you can find. And it's like, it certainly does start out really slow, but once you start leveling up your characters a couple times, I like that they give you like a huge party with all these different characters, because you create one and then it's like, okay, well, here's your mage, here's your stealth person, and you start leveling them up as, like everybody gets all the same XP, so you can really like mess around with your builds, and you can also respec anytime that you want for basically free. And so that's really nice too. But once I started getting some items and things that I could kind of create like a unique build for different characters, and seeing that kind of payoff when it's like I throw a spear with Karlach and it does, like 15 different types of damages because of all the feats and different items that I have and stuff. And it's like, it'll one shot a character that has, 30 hit points or whatever that would have used to have been like a major pain in my butt. Like that stuff starts to feel really good. Or you come up with like something completely ridiculous where you go into like, you go into a battle with one, kind of early boss, and it's like, in order to start the fight, you have to go and have a conversation with her. It's Minthara. And so instead of like talking to her, I cleared out all the other goblins, and then I just walked in all my characters carrying like these giant barrels of like gunpowder and just like placed them all around her. So I just had like this massive trap that I could, instantly activate as soon as I started that combat, and like basically one-shotted her. And if it's like super cheap, but it's cheap in a way that it's like, you're not exploiting a glitch. Like you have just figured out how to min-max all these different systems that they have given you in like your own unique, stupid way. And that is really fun for me.
It is funny to think of like that overlap with Tears of the Kingdom. That feeling of just like, well, look, yeah, you can kind of break it, but that's kind of the fun, is just ultimate player empowerment if you really want to push in a direction, one with physics and one with, I guess, combat strategies and builds. Like, hey, it's just a playground to have fun, everybody. Yeah. It's nice that 2023, the two biggest games both have that in common.
This is like the math version of that, where like like half of the fun, and this is a terrible way to sell it, but like half of the fun is you do something, a bunch of things explode, and then it's like, I'm going into the combat log and I'm going to pore over and like look at the formulas one by one to figure out like what happened and total up all the damage. But like that stuff is really cool for me. I have not really ever played a tabletop RPG. Really? And so like I don't, like the D&D aspect, like I can understand and appreciate the system, but this is my first time really like digging into that kind of system and kind of seeing how it all works under the hood. And that stuff is really fun for me in a nerdy way.
I love that you're reading the combat log. That's amazing.
And like part of that, like I also should say that I save scum a ton, which my, like the people in my chat were like, don't worry, everybody does it, which made me feel a little better. But I do it so much that I'm like hesitant to even try streaming the game. But it's like, but part of that is trying to wrap my head around the system and figuring out like sometimes I'll just look at the formulas and be like, did that thing actually like go off? And like, where is it? Like just trying to figure out, because otherwise you can't really look at it and be like, okay, well that guy has 30 health. So if I hit him with this guy and with that one, that will add up to 30. Like you kind of have to experiment. And the game, to its credit, like they seemingly want you to be able to do that because they let you save scum at any point. You can save during conversations and it will bring you back to that exact point. And it just kind of, and so a big part of it has just been kind of the trial and error and figuring out like, try and approach one way, it doesn't really work, try it in a different way. And that, I guess that's why every combat takes me like an hour or whatever. But that's fun for me. And then like after that, I will end up having gotten through a boss fight in like 2 turns, which would have been like a total disaster. But I've just kind of been able to go back and forth and like figure out the most efficient things and kind of wrap my head around the system a little bit better.
Yeah. Sarah, I'm so jealous of you for 1,000 different reasons. Let me count the ways. First, just having as much D&D experience as you have going into this game, not only are you familiar with like Divinity Original Sin 2 and those a favorite game of yours from years ago, right? But like that combined with like, this language, the rule set, the spells, it feels like home to you. Whereas like, I played D&D for 2 months. I was like, I don't know, I was a rogue, but I really couldn't tell you much other than like the silly jokes my friends and I made. And so it just feels like a foreign fantasy land, Sarah, but
it's
that's
hard
so important
to wrap your head around like all the things you can do in this game, like all the options you have if you haven't played D&D, like all of the ways you could go about it. Like there's like 20 different solutions to anything. Like for example, like you get into a conversation with this character and they have this like giant like gunpowder barrel next to them and they're like threatening to explode it. You could just kill them on the spot. You could try to talk them out of it. And these are all different cutscenes. Like you're literally, or you have one character engage with them in conversation. You send your thief around the back and you can steal the gunpowder barrel. And an entirely different, like that's like, you could do that. Like the game doesn't go like, hey, wait a second, like you can't steal it. You can steal it when you're in the conversation with her. And she has a totally different reaction based on, she will notice that the barrel's gone.
Yeah.
Like there's just like 10 different ways to go through this game. Like, none of them, like, and you kind of have to know D&D and, like, there is an advantage for, like, understanding certain things, like, understanding, like, what your abilities can do, like, what's the scope of my feather fall versus my invisibility. But, like, also, yeah, it's just getting yourself into that headspace, like, taking yourself out of your generic, like, point A to point B game and putting yourself into a position where, like, let me just try this. Like, let me just try this crazy idea I have. And it'll usually work. Like, that's what I like about Baldur's Gate 3. Is it reminds me of like when I was a kid and I thought anything was possible in video games, like before you realize that there was like a skybox and like all these invisible walls and like all this stuff that you couldn't do. Like Baldur's Gate 3 reminds me of feeling like anything was possible because a lot of things are in that game. So that's why, anyways, guys, that's why Baldur's Gate 3 is my game of the year.
Well, this is why I like refuse to give up on this and really feel like I need to have played this at least, I mean, I don't know, if not all the way through, like at least all the way through Act 1 by the time we get to the game of the year discussions. And yeah, I feel like a lot of us are being very hindered by the fact that we like don't like all those things you say, I'm like, oh, that makes perfect sense.
Yep.
That sounds really cool. I want to be like creative enough to come up with these cool solutions, but I am still stuck in video game brain of like, no, of course there's only like 3 different ways to solve this puzzle, and they've all been like, you look up the guide and see path 1 versus 2 versus 3. So I don't like, what do I do if I don't have the D&D knowledge intrinsically? Like, is there a video I could watch? Is there like something I could do to just...
I don't know. I guess you just have to like go where your inner curiosity leads you, and then like you save scum accordingly, right? Like if you just want to try something, just try it. Like very rarely do you get punished in this game for just trying something, right? Because you're like, oh, that didn't work, or like that didn't work out. Like reload and like try your abilities out of combat too, because you can use the abilities out of combat and in combat. It's not like most games where you can only use them in combat.
Right.
So like, yeah, if you have like abilities, try them out. Try them out in a village. Try them out on an object. Like make sure that when you read stuff, you actually read it, because a lot of it does have like hints, but they're not obvious. It's not like the red door is unlocked at night. It's not going to be just like written out there. It's going to be like, Mr. Bobby keeps forgetting the key, and I hate that. Like it's going to be a little more hidden, like a little more layered, but there will always be like 5 different solutions to things.
Am I blowing it by being a warlock? Is that too complicated for a dumb guy's first playthrough?
I think spellcasting might be a little too complicated to start with.
Yeah.
Because it is a lot, and especially with, a warlock, you don't have like infinite spell slots. You only have like a few every short rest. So it's like you have to be using your short rest, or you're not getting those spell slots back.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that make, do you understand what I'm saying?
I'm picking up what
Are
you're
you
putting
short resting?
Yes. I'm familiar with the short rest. I gotta say, being able to stream this game was a real godsend. It was like, I was trying to explain to my wife last night, where I was like, yeah, it felt terrible emotionally, because it's like you're trying to learn the rules to a complicated board game while 100 people are screaming at you. But also they're very helpful for like, okay, you idiot, what you need to do right now is go to the camp, rest here, yada, yada, yada. And so there's just a lot of those basics, even like UI stuff, that's just a godsend to be able to stream. Thank you to Haley for jumping in the chat and helping to guide me along my way, trying to navigate the beginning of this game at least.
I have spent as many hours as I've played, I've probably spent an equal number like watching videos and looking up build guides and things. That's like another, once you have a bunch of your characters, like there are a lot of good, just type in character name and then build guide, and like I have just like item by item just copied some of theirs for some of the other characters, where it's like I don't know what to do with a cleric, like what is good for this, and just like kind of copy what abilities they tell you to take and how to use them, and that gives you like a good foothold for starting to kind of experiment more.
Haley, is it just your big super lawyer brain that lets you wrap your mind around all this? I mean, do you have a lot of D&D experience going into this thing?
Zero. I've never played D&D for 1 second before this. So yeah, I went into it kind of like Kelsey. I was like, oh God, what's a druid? What does that mean? I could be a bear, I guess. And like, I didn't know any of the words or terms. I was very intimidated by action, bonus action, cantrip system.
Right.
How much I can move. How come that one's moving further than this one? Like I didn't understand class differences and how that relates to how far someone can jump, or how far someone can push, how successful a push could be. I was like, I was just pushing people and hoping it worked, and I didn't really understand the systems. But what I did was supplement it with like YouTube videos I found really helpful. And because I was having like a nerd moment for it, that was kind of for about a week or so, just while I was in bed relaxing, I just watched Baldur's Gate 3 based newcomer tips and tricks videos, and those like really helped me because I was watching someone else like cast the spell in the correct way, and I was like, oh, so then the next time I was standing there with someone on the edge and I had Thunder Wave or whatever it's called, I was like, and then it worked and knocked them off. I was like, I get it. And then now I use that for the rest, like you just have to see it once almost done the correct way with somebody who has 100+ hours in the game, and all of a sudden it clicks a bit better. And then you start implementing those systems. And then once you start reading everything, because reading everything is so key, like it's very easy to just look at, oh, that's a cool outfit and move on. But if you read it, you'll be like, oh my God, this is perfect for Karlach. This was designed for Karlach. And you put it on Karlach and suddenly she's a god. It's like, if you don't read things, then you'll just miss that. And you only kind of learn how to implement the systems within the items and within the fighting and within the who should be talking in your party to get the charisma stuff up so that you pass all the skill checks and stuff. It's just trial and error. And I totally get why people are jumping off of it. It actually really reminded me of when I was playing Persona 5, because it took me like 20 hours to get into Persona 5, but I was dedicated to like it because I knew I'd like it. It just wasn't sticking for me. And then all of a sudden one day I was playing it, I was like, oh, hell yeah, what the heck? And I like loved it. And then I put 120 hours into it and beat it. And it was one of my favorite games ever. And that happened with this too. I really was like, uh-oh, like I'm kind of feeling like I don't like it. And then after watching videos and supplementing it with that kind of information outside of the game, I came to it and was a bigger nerd for it. And now I'm like 160 hours in and I'm not even done it yet. Like I'm just obsessed with it. I play it every day.
Christ. Are you like
it's so fun.
Are you a big BioWare fan?
No, not really even either. Like I don't even have a lot of CRPG experience or anything because I've only had a PC for about a year and a half or so now.
Sure.
So I'm like new to D&D and I was new to this like tactics system too. So I was really not expecting it to click. Actually, my partner was the one the day before it came out was like, oh, I might get Baldur's Gate 3. I was like, what's that? And I Googled it. I feel kind of guilty because Sarah was waiting so long for this game and I feel like I only had to wait a day because I learned about it the day before. It's like I time traveled and I'm like, cool, my new favorite thing is out tomorrow.
La-da-da-da-da. All right, so there is hope for us, Kelsey. We can do it. If we just stick to the path and just research and read everything, we can fall in love with this game. It's possible.
It really helps to watch someone else who knows what they're talking about play it for even an hour, and you come to it with like a fresh perspective.
I watched.
All right, what are you streaming next, Haley?
Yeah.
Control, but that's easy.
Yeah, just going back to Control. I did check out. Stuff. I did watch your last Baldur's Gate 3 stream that's on MinnMax's channel because I'm like, I did want to see just like Act 3. I want to scrub to the middle of this video and just watch like a pro go through combat, and it looks so easy. Like you knew where to click every time you're on top of it. Whereas like when I was streaming, everyone's like, you got to jump over the grease. Jumping's the meta. And I was like, jumping's the meta? What is going on in this? Okay, sure.
And you have to fall in the grease 5 times before you remember that. You know, like you have to have grease mess you up. And then you're like, the grease. And you know how to get around the grease. But that's only because I got messed up by grease in Act 1 and 2 a million times. And I was like, screw this grease. I'll jump over it.
Yeah, it was funny. I forget who it was. Somebody in the Discord said they went back and listened to like our predictions podcast. I think it was, or like maybe
I saw that comment. Yeah,
maybe it was most anticipated games, but they're talking about like where everybody was at. By the way, Jeff, people kept bringing up how for the last 3 years on the podcast you kept talking about how Elden Ring will never release, how it's not a real game, yada yada yada. Speaking of people going to the past, but then it was like apparently this is me trying to set the template that I am pro Baldur's Gate 3, even though it's not clicking with me, but I feel like there's a narrative that I hate this game and that I hate all the players of it.
My favorite thing in the community lately is like everyone's just like, Ben hates Baldur's Gate.
I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome that it's doing
like
so well.
All the comments are like, what's up with like, you'll be talking about like some other game. They're like, stop hating on Baldur's Gate.
It's crazy. I love it compared to you. It's wild.
Damn it. It is apparently in like the predictions podcast when we were talking about most anticipated games or something. I remember apparently I said something like, oh, the production values I think are really going to blow a lot of people away. And even though I had said that in the past on this podcast, still going back to it now, it's still like, God, the voice acting and the animation is so good in this game. Like even all the characters you get out of the gate, it's just so much higher than you would have expected, I think, for a lot of games in this arena.
Your comparison to a BioWare game is really on point. And I think that's what got me over the hump on this one, because in the previous Larian games I played, and this, I didn't play them enough, but I felt like I was always just looking at tiny little characters from like an isometric angle, and they would try and, like convey some kind of, plot, but it always felt like that was my viewpoint. And in this, like, you're in conversations and cutscenes every 2 minutes, and it's all really well done. And even when you're in, like just walking around the world and stuff, you can zoom in to the point where it looks as good as a BioWare game. Even like it is really impressive that they can make one of these large top-down CRPGs look that good, that close up, to the point where it looks like a good third-person action-adventure game that you would play from that perspective.
Yeah, I'm so curious to see when Dragon Age Dreadwolf comes out, presumably next year, like how people are making that point of comparison between these two, because this is tough to top. But Jeff, as somebody who strongly hinted that Starfield was your game of the year still this year, is it weird to be jumping back and forth between these two?
Yeah, I feel like I am more hesitant now because I realize what a sucker I am once I start playing a game that really clicks with me, and it's instantly just like, this is the best game ever. So I don't want to say that, but certainly like Starfield was on the rise for me very quickly in comparison to Tears of the Kingdom, and this has just not completely stopped it dead because I streamed Starfield last week, but it took me a while during that stream to be like, okay, yeah, now I remember why I was having so much fun with this pre-Baldur's Gate, and it's just like. And then as soon as that stream was over, it's like, okay, I'm going to go play Baldur's Gate now, on my own and just play it till 4 a.m. every night and then think about it and then watch videos while I'm eating my lunch. And it's just like, it's the type of game that, it's the type of game that has enough depth and content there that it can be all consuming. And it's still like, I'm sure 100 hours from now, I'll be discovering new stuff still and watching more videos and see things that I've never even thought about, and it will still continue to impress.
Have you broken free of the spell, Sarah?
No, I still wake up and I'm like, should I have reloaded there? Did I make the right choice? And it's like, I have other games going, right? Like I have like my Dark Urge run and I'm like, do I want to be like a good Dark Urge? Or do I want to give into the Dark Urge? Yeah, Dark Urge is a completely separate like gameplay system. Like Dark Urge is like a completely separate story from the main story.
What?
It's like, it's the same environment, it's the same plot, but your character can't stop killing people. And you can't stop yourself from killing people, essentially.
But can't you kind of do that with the freedom that it gives you, even if you're not Dark Urge?
You can, but it's like they made the Dark Urge run for people who want to, like, quote unquote D&D, like murder hobo, which is just like kill your way through everything.
Okay.
But they need like a reason. So they invented like the Dark Urge run where like doing that is like part of your personal plot. Like they kind of made you like a separate plot line going through the story as like a rampant killer.
Perfect.
And you're like, you can play into it. Like you can give into the urge or you can try to be like good Dark Urge and like resist the whispers, resist the urge.
I like that because there's so many people who will only play it the good guy role and they're not used to being a murderous, rampaging arsehole, but this is like, the game's letting me, it's telling me to, and then that's like a way for them to play that way. That's the way I'm gonna, because I'm always a good, Sarah and I keep saying a good egg, like, did you play this act as a good egg or a bad egg? And it's a good egg. Like, I only ever play games good egg. When I'm Arthur Morgan, I'm a good egg. My little morality things with far right as good as I can be, and I'm never evil, but it makes me want to do a Dark Urge playthrough because they're saying, no, we want you to. Like, you can do it. Like, here you go.
Guilt-free. Unlike Starfield, where it's like, Starfield in the beginning, you're like, do whatever you want. Then you steal one ship, like, whoa, come on. Not what this is about in space. Deuterado writes in and says, hey, who did you romance Baldur's Gate 3 and how did it turn out?
I want to hear Jeffem first because he's the newest.
I haven't romanced anyone yet because I've long saved like 2 times so far. So I think I'm doing that wrong.
You mean long resting?
Yes.
You need to long rest more.
That's
you need to long rest more. If you need to do it more.
I've gotten that sense because I did, once I got through the goblin camp, I did a long rest and then like it seemed like everyone in camp was horny for me immediately. Yeah,
you're like behind on long rest. You got to catch up on long rest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I have not made any choices yet because it was a lot to take in during one camp rest, and I think Asterion tried to suck my blood at the same time, and it was just there was a lot going on that I wasn't prepared to deal with yet.
All right, and Haley and Sarah, I know you went over it in your in the Max spoilers, but. Who's the go-to here?
Yeah, I romanced Shadowheart.
Shadowheart.
To fix her. I can fix her.
And you fixed her?
Yes.
Great.
Yes and no.
Congratulations.
I don't want to spoil.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm a Karlach girly. I love Karlach. She's my favorite.
She's pretty cool.
I romanced, and she has a whole side quest to trying to romance her. Like, she's the hardest one to get. Like, my act 2 was how can I dig Karlach as fast as possible, and I wasn't even doing the other missions. I was just like, I don't want to spoil what it is. Like, I need these parts really fast. I was like running across the world trying to find the parts just so I could date her.
But she's an actual, like, you can fix her.
She's a literal fixer-upper. Yeah, like, fix her up.
Literally. Got it.
Yeah.
Hey, if I may generalize, I've been surprised. It feels like a lot of women are into Baldur's Gate. It feels like a higher percentage of women are more into this game than other games. I know that's a broad generalization, but
I would agree though, because it feels like people are treating this like a socially acceptable dating sim.
Is that what it is? Complex
like dating
sim.
sims exist and you can play them, but it's like Baldur's Gate 3 is like the socially acceptable one.
Right.
And but it's got a whole RPG mechanic, and I admire these women who go into Baldur's Gate 3 going, I'm gonna get my man, I'm gonna get a Sarian, and they learn the entire D&D mechanic. They drag their way through the entire thing. I admire these women, and then they do it like more than once because you can split, like the story will split, and then you can have like evil Asarian or good Asarian, and then they will literally have two different storylines. I admire them.
Heroes. Modern
This is
day
not
heroes.
easy. Yeah, heroes.
The new Rosie the Riveters. I've been saying for a long time.
Get your
now.
man.
Yeah.
You do it. Get your man.
I also think the writing's very female gazy, which is like not often done in games a lot. And that's like a loaded term, like what's the female gaze? But the easiest way I can think of it is like Chris Evans, Jack Black. Like a lot of people think we all want Chris Evans. A lot of us want Jack Black. Even current day, very old Jack Black. Love him. I like him way more than like a ripped Chris Evans. I would date Jack Black way more than that. And like that's ironic because all the dudes in this game are jacked. Like they all have six packs. I don't know why they did that. They should have a few more thick kings in this game. I think would have trended well. But it just like the way that people talk and stuff, I think is a way that lends very well to what women like and like the way that the type of writing that women historically can like more. Not to generalize because
Sure.
no woman is the same woman than any other woman or whatever. But I just find that there's a lot more depth to the characters, which us women tend to like, I suppose.
Yeah. Oh, that's insightful. So Baldur's Gate 3, Sarah, your favorite game since...
I was thinking about this, but I did like Elden Ring a lot.
Oh, okay.
But it's definitely up there with Elden Ring. But I think I probably like it more than Elden Ring.
Okay. Wow. Okay. It's nice to put it in a template, comparing it to something else directly there. Curious to hear everybody's thoughts. We'll be talking about it more. I'm sure it's going to come up once or twice when we're talking about the 210s at the end of the year for ranking our favorite games of the year as a collective group. All right. Farming games. These cute little farming games. 2023 feels like there's been more released this year than any other year in gaming history. We've all been dabbling, some people more than others. There's a lot to go through. I was like, just looking back at some of the games that released this year, it's like, oh, yeah, that's right. Roots of Pacha. We talked about that, like that caveman farming game. Remember that? That was all right.
That was kind of the first one.
Yeah. But then even just Rune Factory 3 Special came out this year. Sunhaven came out earlier this year. Leo, I know you've been playing Hello Kitty Island Adventure, which more Animal Crossing-ish. You know, it's that blurry line, I guess, between
I haven't
all those.
farmed yet, but it for some reason it still is totally in that category for me.
Right. There's the iOS game Japanese Rural Life Adventure that released that Kelsey you've been dabbling with but aren't in love with. Is that about right?
Yeah, it's very it's formatted more mobile game where it's just like now check off the next box. Now check off the next box. It's like it's a good time waster.
Right. But Fae Farm came out a while ago, and we haven't even talked about that. Who all's been playing Fae Farm?
Me.
Okay, I started it. Great.
Oh, wow. Mostly all of us.
Yeah, that's wild. Sarah, since you've played a lot this year, do you think Fae Farm's the best farming game of 2023?
It might be one of the few farming games of 2023, but I took some issues with it.
Yeah?
No offense to Fae Farm.
Yeah, what's up?
My issue is that when I think of like a farming game, I think of like a Stardew Valley, right? Where they like set you up on your plot of land, they give you the tools, and they say like, get going, have fun, champ. Like, can't wait to see you at the Spring Festival. But with Fae Farm, it's very quest based, and it's very like, do this, now do this, now do this,
right.
And don't do anything else because you'll be wasting your time. Like, quite literally, they're like afraid to let you have free time to like do what you want. You know, maybe you want to like decorate your farm. Maybe you want to like explore the area. No, they're very like, especially in the beginning, they're like, please complete all these things or you quite literally will not be able to play the rest of the game. And I wasn't the biggest fan of that. It's a little, I would compare it more to Disney Dreamlight Valley than I would compare it to Stardew Valley or like any kind of like normal farming sim.
Sure.
Just because it's so heavily quest based. The NPCs were also a little disappointing with the dialogue, the level of dialogue.
I've heard that, yeah, that they're kind of all like very don't say anything that interesting.
They're
to
not
you.
very personalized, and they also share the same. They have a few personal lines, and then they share like a few similar lines where they'll be like, spring's a really good time to catch fish. And then you'll walk over to another NPC and they'll be like, spring's a really good time to catch fish. And you're like, okay, so I just won't talk. I just don't talk to anybody.
This is the type of dialogue that men react to, Sarah. We appreciate the insight.
Male game.
If only someone will tell me when to fish. But I think where this game probably actually shines is the multiplayer. Because it does sort of like set itself up as like, it's got a really huge world. You have like multiple farms you need to be committing yourself to. And it definitely feels like multiplayer is where they want more people to find fun. Because like, I can't find it anywhere else.
Yeah.
I'm like stuck in the mines and I'm like, I want to be farming. But you've got me trying to drill down into 25 floors against my will, like crafting a little thing for each floor.
I felt like that happened in Stardew too, where it's like, there's not that much to do. I guess I will keep grinding in the mines forever. And yeah, I don't know. I think Fae Farm is good. It's one of the better farming games of recent, but I don't know if I have the exact same like complaint with the dialogue and the questing and stuff as you, but I just feel like the vibes are not there. Like there is first of all, I'll say some of the positives first. I think the like traversal of the world is some of the best. Like your silly little jelly bouncing everywhere. Fantastic. I love it. I love that you just like, you're just a piece of jello just bouncing everywhere. It's great. It feels great.
Good air control.
Around.
It feels surprisingly fun to just get around.
Yeah, it is weird. Like, jumping around in a farming game. All right, this is rare. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's great. And I feel like it's just it's very streamlined for it's just the little things they do really well. Like for instance, if you are watering your plants, like you don't have to water this one and then rotate your body and water the next one. Like it kind of is like, okay, you're in this general area. The next thing you logically want to do is water something else in this general area. So we're just going to automatically highlight the next thing for you.
Right.
And so stuff like that, I think it does really, really well. It just makes it a very like quick experience and like not annoying. Like, let me switch all of my equipment. Let me like, it kind of automatically knows like what you want to do with everything, which is extremely, extremely nice. But I don't know if it's a problem with the art style or the dialogue or the like just combo of all of that, but I'm just not invested in this world, man. Like I do not care about these people and I do not care about this world.
Yeah. And that's what you want from that type of thing.
Yeah, and that's my disappointment with the game is because I think it's otherwise actually very good. Like I think it does all the farming stuff very well. It's just feels kind of meh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started Stardew Valley and got 8 hours in 4 different times in my life.
Oh, wow.
I like it and then don't really feel the need to stick with it. And that's about as far as I am in Fae Farm right now as well, too. So we'll see how that goes. But playing it with my partner, we have been noticing like, yeah, it would be different if we were playing single player. We're really flying through stuff at double speed. And that makes it feel like things are happening constantly and we're always getting new things. And that's a specific experience that I can vouch for that is really good is co-op with your partner. And the social elements, the characters, that's something that neither her or I cared about in Stardew Valley, with the exception of like Linus. We never went out of our way to get people gifts at all. So it's smashing A through dialogue with characters is all we really need to technically fill out whatever you need to do to complete a friendship quest.
And it's all local multiplayer for Fae Farm then?
No. Let me tell you about our awesome new gamer setup, though.
Ooh,
We've had a PC in our living room for couch co-op, local multiplayer. I got myself a MacBook for my birthday, and obviously not very many gaming options on that, except for Apple Arcade. Finity still playing it, just dropped 18,500.
Congratulations.
I Parsec from my office computer into the living room, so we play next to each other. Fae Farm.
Nice.
Incredible.
But it's online technically. That's been working perfectly, and it's an awesome setup. It's really blown the doors off of our gaming future.
Sarah, I was struck. We were talking a little bit in Slack, and you're like, yeah. There's a bunch of other games, but Moonstone Island is the way to go here if you want some good farming games. Like that is that one of your favorites this year then?
I have been really enjoying it. I definitely think I like it more than Fae Farm.
Yeah.
But I also don't know if I would like call it like a definitive farm sim. You know, Moonstone Island, you play as like this little alchemist who you're going off to explore the world and like do your little alchemy journey. But the game, you're living on these little islands, floating islands in the sky. And when the game starts, it generates a bunch of floating islands for you.
Okay.
And whenever you start a new game, your island layout will be different. Because your goal is to go from like a home island and explore the other islands. So it's got a little bit more exploration. And the islands all have dungeons on them and stuff. But it's like a farm sim creature collecting card game. Because you're collecting these creatures like Pokemon. And they all come with a set of cards that you can like level them up and get new cards. And then you battle with the cards. And then you could also farm on the side and date on the side and like decorate your house on the side. And there's like a little bit of crafting. So this game has a lot in it. But I like that it scratches like my Pokemon itch. You know, it like the pixel art's just absolutely gorgeous. I like the decorating aspect of it, you know, like the gathering materials to craft to make my little house. So yeah, it's like a little all over the place in terms of like genre, but I would just call it like slow life.
Hey, I'm all for it. I do like that idea of like having a game that has a lot in it, but also farming in there, but then also focusing on just exploration of like, we're going to randomize these islands, go explore instead of like, all right, I made the trek through the town once. I understand the layout. Got it. Like having that ability to jump to a new island in a very Tears of the Kingdom kind of way, right? Just slowly expanding throughout the sky and finding new stuff in there. Like that seems really cool. How much have you played of this thing?
I played the demo a while ago.
Okay.
And now I want to say I'm like 5-ish hours in.
Okay.
But yeah, very, very cute. A lot to do, a lot to keep you busy. It is kind of wild. This is the first time I've seen this game mechanic. But when you talk to an NPC, you have the option to just like talk to them or joke with them or flirt with them. And it'll tell you your % chance of success.
Nice. Okay.
Of it hitting. So it's like you can like maybe like talk to them and like say like you got it. The 70% chance of succeeding. And they'll get like 5+ hearts. But if you fail, it'll be like -2. And so like you can just go up to somebody and like try to chat with them and it's like no, and you're like, what did I say to them? What did I say? You know, like what have I said that was so offensive that they hate me? It's kind of like The Sims where you're like socialize and it's like you see the little negative icon and you're like, what did I do? What have I done?
I was gonna say that sounds like The Sim, and you bring up like pumpkins, and they're like, oh, and you're like, what? Why?
What? You don't like airplanes? Like what?
Let's see. Also, Paleo Pines is another game that came out recently. This is another farming game, but this one is the dinosaur.
And these all came out within the same like month.
I know. It's wild.
People need to know that. Like Fae Farm, I think, came out in September. Paleo Pines came out in late September, and so did Moonstone Island. Like these all like absolutely on top of each other.
Yeah. It is bizarre. Harvesting time apparently, but this one, instead of Roots of Patch's caveman storyline, this is all dinosaurs, baby. This is about you building up bonds with your little dino pals, and then going around and doing some farming, which is like, it just starts out and it's just, if you're a kid, like. It transported me back to my childhood seeing this opening because like, oh my God, I would have been so into this. Because it's just like a montage of you with your pet dinosaur as the dinosaur's growing up. Clifford-esque in a way, right? Where the dinosaur's getting bigger and bigger and the bond's growing more and more. And it's such a cool hook to have it start out and you have like your dinosaur buddy that you can ride around the farm and has like Pokemon Yellow vibes, right? Of just like locking you in with something right out of the gate and then you kind of build out from there. But
do you get to pick your buddy, or is it?
It's locked in the beginning. I assume there's a lot more dinosaurs coming up that you're unlocking and stuff. But
I would hope so.
You get to get basically, it seems like as many dinosaurs as you want in addition to your original buddy. But yeah, you start with just the one guy, and you don't get to name him either, which is kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
Aw.
Have you been enjoying Paleo Pines, Kelsey?
I am. I am like I'm like rooting for this one a lot, but I'm playing it on Steam Deck, and it's a little rough, a little bit, and that's definitely putting a damper on it for me. There is loading screens in between, like going into town and into your farm and stuff, which doesn't seem like a big deal, but like we don't have that in farming games anymore. So it's very jarring. I'm like, oh, a loading screen. Interesting. Okay. But I mean, am really liking this. I think it's really cute. It's got just enough of a twist on the premise of farming. Like, you're also just trying to kind of like learn more about the dinosaurs in your environment, and they all seem to have different skills that they can bring to the table. So there's like a it's not a triceratops, but it looks like a triceratops. I forget what it's called, but you need to befriend one of those to like break some rocks that are, blocking off part of the path, and just learning the patterns of these dinosaurs and figuring out, like, you play your little flute and try to figure out how to befriend them and find the correct food to get close to them. And then you build their little enclosures and feed them and everything. And it's a very, I don't know. I feel like it's a good premise. It's a lot more interesting of a premise than I think a lot of the farming games that are, a lot of them are just very like, it's a farm and it's cool, it's nice and everything. But this one I feel like it's not just we added dinosaurs to a farm. It's pretty thoughtful about like how you encounter those dinosaurs and what you need to do. And there's like rare colors of each dinosaur. So, that's instantly exciting for me, because I'm like, well, I'm not going to just get like this boring blue one. Like, there's a pink one that shows up sometimes. I'm going to wait till I find that one. And yeah. So yeah, it's very cute. I'm not super duper far into it, but I've got 3 dinosaurs so far. So I'm working my way through it, and making money is kind of hard in this game. I feel like which you also kind of need to, like, in order to add new dinosaurs, you need to like construct fences and like troughs and stuff, all of which cost like a pretty big amount of money. So I feel like I could be adding dinosaurs faster if money wasn't such a problem, which is a little annoying. But I'm enjoying it. I wish it ran a little bit better, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, Fae Farm on Steam Deck was also chugging a little bit for me over there. But yeah, it does seem like, I don't know, can you release a farming game now without like a concrete hook? It is interesting how so many of these outside of Fae Farm, I guess Fae Farm's kind of like the, just navigating the world is kind of
the island is magic. Handsome.
I see.
It's
I was upset how long it takes me to get wings in Fae Farm, because it's like you show up and like they show you the wings, like it's on the box art, and you're like, okay, when do I get to fly? And they're like, where are the Fae? Also, you get to the island. It's called Fae Farm. Where are the Fae?
Savor the Fae when they finally show up.
They are not to be found.
Yeah, that should be like a 4 or 5 hours in thing. You at least have your path towards the wings, and that does not appear to be the case. So
Yeah.
I didn't know wings were coming, and that's probably why I'm enjoying it.
You don't know what you don't have.
Smart.
You weren't coveting wings the entire time.
Yeah.
Right.
Playing.
I do want to shout out one mechanic in Fae Farm, though, that I think is cool, which is just that building different types of furniture in your house boosts your max health, stamina, or magic, which taking the same resources as other stuff, there's always that decision in those games of like, should I really be making my house cute when I could be optimizing towards getting my honey machine going faster or whatever? And it's a really good incentive to spread out your resources across all those things and take the time to make your space cute. And ours is super cute. I hate to say it.
No doubt about
The
that.
different bonuses have different style. Like health is like rustic, and then magic bonus is like sci-fi looking. Did they do that?
I don't know what they're categorized by.
Okay.
I can't figure out the theme.
When you do multiplayer, are you like living in the same house, or do you have 2 separate houses?
You live in the same houses, but we have to have 2 beds next to each other. We can't have just
That's a
one
lot of
bed. And I
space
think you
that
can only
takes up.
marry civilians, not each other.
Aw.
Baldur's
See if
Gate
I
has
can
a
stop
problem
you.
too. You can't romance the people playing with you, only other people. So you'll
That's true.
awkwardly catch your partner like romancing someone while you walk by. You're like, okay.
Well, whatever. It's a
I like that
fantasy world.
in Baldur's Gate you can like turn off so people can't like watch your cutscene. And
Yeah.
it'll be like, so-and-so player is in a private scene, and you're like, what are you watching? What are you doing? You can like turn it off so people
Karlach?
can't watch.
Where's Karlach? Yeah.
Oh no. Fae Farm on Switch and Steam. Moonstone Island's only on PC. Paleo Pines is out on absolutely everything. Jeffem, did you have a favorite of the bash this year?
It's difficult because Fae Farm and Paleo Pines are the 2 that I've played, and they are kind of on opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of like, for all its faults, Fae Farm is really polished in terms of the gameplay and how it looks. And Paleo Pines has a really interesting hook, but it kind of looks Coco Melon.
Totally.
Coco Melon
It's
for me.
very
And
children's
that's-
entertainment. Yep.
And so that's kind of killing it for me. But I don't know. I played both of them a little bit and then just went back to Baldur's Gate. So what can I do? What can I do?
Yeah.
I mean, my
I don't think
favorite
there's
farming
farming
game
in
this
Baldur's
year
Gate,
is
but there might be maybe one of the later acts. Who knows?
my favorite farming game this year is still the just Story of Seasons: A Wonderful Life again.
Oh, right.
which
Yeah, of
is
course.
which is the GameCube Harvest Moon I played all the time as a kid, and is really not a new game at all. But I think so. I don't know that that's a fair opinion. I don't think that's necessarily a better game than all of these. It's more like a comfy, warm blanket of childhood.
Yeah. Somebody wrote in, and I'm sorry I didn't include their name, but they wrote in saying like, hey, that new Harvest Moon that also came out this year is good. Not the Story of Seasons.
What?
But someone was,
The volcano one?
yeah. And I looked it up like
Well,
on
it's
Steam.
like if you don't do this volcano thing, the volcano will explode and kill everybody.
That sounds like a great game. No, wait, Winds of Anthos, is that what it is, Sarah? That's the volcano game?
Yeah, I think that's the volcano one.
Okay. It looks like it's like 7
I
out of
need
10
to
on Steam, so
try
maybe it's not
this?
over the moon, but better than you would think based on the reputation of like, well, Story Seasons is the good one and Harvest Moon is trash now. It's like, it seems like maybe the Harvest Moon series is slowly inching up. I don't know. Also, we can't talk about farming games without letting Sarah plug the farming game she's working on.
Oh, yeah. So my farming game is coming out in 2024. It's called Fields of Mystria, and it will be the best farming game. Thank you.
Great. Mark it on your calendars, everybody.
Wishlisted on Steam.
There it is. The name one more time is...
Fields of Mystria.
Love it. Hey, Haley, you pointed out very wisely. You leaned back and you wowed us with your wisdom saying, in the game Dave the Diver, there's also farming. So it technically also is a farming game that came out this year.
There's underwater farming and on-ground farming. There's double the farming.
Jesus. Yeah, you blew me away recently, Haley. How much time have you put into Dave the Diver?
Like 70 hours.
70 hours. And I feel like
It was my bedtime game for a long time.
honestly, I bounced off it a couple times where it's like, I should love this game. This is exactly my cup of tea. And it wasn't until now that like it's too cold to bike in Minnesota where I'm on my indoor bike. Like this is the perfect exercise bike
Oh,
game.
yeah.
Like now's the
That's a good
time.
exercise bike game.
Yeah, to really jump into Dave the Diver.
I feel like when I'd be running out of oxygen, though, I'd be like trying to bike faster. Like somehow that would help.
Right.
I don't know. I found Dave the Diver like way too stressful. Like the oxygen meter, like my oxygen's going away. I'm getting attacked by sharks. Like I want to love that game, but it is too stressful for me.
If you just
You
get
get
past
to a
that,
point where you have too much oxygen and you're like, hit me, shark. I can take it. Like you get really beefy. And by the end, like I have the full oxygen tank and like a shark can attack me for 5 minutes while I go to the bathroom and I can come back and it'll be probably fun.
yeah,
I'm only like 7 hours in, but I feel well over that hump where I'm always like full on resources long before my oxygen is going to run out.
yeah, I think you just got to upgrade. Prioritize just upgrading the oxygen early on. Because I was with you, Sarah, where I was beating my head against the wall, and it's like for the quest, like, hey, you have to kill this shark and make this shark dish for your restaurant. And I was just dying from the shark over and over again. I'm like, oh, that's right. That whole upgrade mechanic. Because we should probably take a step back. Because we talked about Dave the Diver. I think Jenna Stieber talked about it a fair bit on Party Chat a while ago during paternity leave and stuff. But it is the 2D side view game where you're going around diving, collecting things, doing quests, all that stuff. But then the fun thing is it's split where during the day you're diving and you're diving to collect resources and fish and food to then fuel up the restaurant. So you're also managing this restaurant and serving people sushi based on what you're diving for during the day, which I'm trying to think of like other examples of games like this that do it so well, where it's kind of just a game split down the middle. It's such a weird 50-50 experience of like, it's kind of survival exploration game, but then also restaurant sim. And it's just the perfect marriage here.
Yeah, Moonlighters was like that, where it was like Zelda-style dungeon crawl, but then you got items and you sold them in a shop during the day.
Yeah. I guess
That is a very compelling formula.
That was a great game. I got into that earlier this year.
Oh, nice. But yeah, Dave the Diver, wild success. We really haven't given it enough love on the podcast. Like it's sold a gazillion copies. It's sitting at overwhelmingly positive on Steam and 54,000 reviews. and still sitting at overwhelmingly positive. It just seems like everyone in the world was like, yes,
And
we
I
want a
think they
sushi
released
diving
new
game.
content this week.
Yep.
Like they came out with like a whole free update with more content. It is like quite literally just a joy how much that there is in it. Like you think that you're finally done and they're like, start your farm, your above ground farm, like this man will farm things, and you're like, what is going on?
Yeah, I am curious what it's like 70 hours in, because they added new content this week, like new missions, crab traps, new night species, farm automation. There we go.
That's
new
huge
bosses.
for me.
Okay.
Big change for Haley, the farm automation. I was wasting a lot of time going to the farm every day. So
that's, I'm curious, like 70 hours in, that's what it is primarily it's a farming game at that point, or are you just doing like super rare resource runs, or what type of stuff?
I'm not even really, like I'll fish every like 5th day now because I have so many resources. It's really fun. Like they do a lot of late game stuff. This game's also crazy that so much cool stuff happens so late. And I'm like, you guys, like no one might see this. Why'd you put this at the end? This is so much detail and effort into this like Dance Dance Revolution scene.
What?
Yeah, like there's so much extra mini games.
There's so many little mini games and they're all different.
Yeah, and they're all different. They all play so different. Like certain bosses, it's like this whole ramped out like multi-fight thing where you're fighting them in like 4 different ways, and I'm like, this is a huge thing that I'm seeing 40 hours in. Like, are you sure everyone's gonna see this? But they're like, no, we don't care, and they like make the scenes really detailed, and the pixel art is some of the most impressive and crazy pixel art I've seen. Like especially for the cutscenes and stuff. Like they do a lot of background, like, you know, if you upgrade a sushi, there's like 20 different little mini scenes that the sushi chef could do to like show that he's sharpening his knife and then cutting the fish, and then the fish in the tank behind him is like, oh, gulp, and like keep going. Like they do all those kind of things. But I find I'm where I'm at it now. I'm probably done with it now, finally, I think, because I've maxed out everything I can do without like 100% completing it and being truly insane. Like my restaurant runs without me. I don't have to do anything. I have a branch restaurant that also runs without me, and I have every staff max, and I make like $1 trillion a day, and I have every
You can
fish.
retire.
Oh,
I can finally
sweet.
retire. But they're making the new content has new missions and stuff, so I'll probably hop in and do those new missions, and I'll probably be done with it. What I learned was that vegetable sushi is like, if you want to make money, just have on your farm the stuff for vegetable sushi, and you'll be a billionaire in like 2 days, because all it takes is eggplant, carrot, and rice, and you sell them for like 5,000 a piece if you level them up. So all you'll do is just farm, sell everyone vegetable sushi. They're like, delicious. And then you have so much money. And then it kind of takes the fun out of it. So maybe don't do that. Do that at the very end, like me. Just make regular sushi. But that's kind of why I'm not fishing anymore, is I'm just like being a weirdo and making only vegetable sushi at my 5-star restaurant. And everyone loves it.
Perfect.
A Michelin star for the fish, and they're like, best I can do is eggplant, carrot, and rice.
My vegan sushi restaurant. Kind of defeats the purpose.
It is just bizarre, how much they can pack into this experience. Even in the beginning, like, it's not overwhelming, but it's just like, it is bizarre. Like, okay, here's a new layer. Oh, here's interior decoration. Here's the Cooksta Instagram app. Okay, now you're going to be hiring employees, managing those. You also have this phone where you can call anybody. Like, it just keeps adding systems and systems and systems. And it's like, okay, it feels like a, dare I say it, a better version of Dredge. Like, I really was hot on Dredge out of the gate.
Dredge was supposed to be more of like a horror thing, but it definitely feels better to play.
Yes.
Than Dredge did.
Yeah.
I beat Dredge, but I beat this and then played like 40 more hours. So.
Oh my God. Yeah.
This has like more stuff to dive into.
Nice.
Yeah. Thank you, Leo. Thanks. But. Yeah, it just made me into a filthy capitalist, is what chat's saying, which is totally true.
Hey, mission accomplished. You did it. Yeah, Leo, you're digging it though?
Yeah, it's great. I agree over Dredge, the like core tactile feel-goodiness of shooting a fish with a harpoon and pulling it in is exceptional. And the chiller vibes really work for me too. It's a really cute game.
Yeah. I know Haley mentioned it, but yeah, those cutscenes, like the pixel animation is ridiculously good. Like the first time like that special lady came in and requested that shark special dish, and then like her reaction and that cutscene to her having that for the first time is like better than Ratatouille. Like it was just perfect. It was unbelievable. So yeah, we'll be talking about Day of the Diver, I'm sure, throughout the rest of the year. It's on Switch and PC if somehow you have not heard about this game that it seems like everyone already owns and is enjoying.
I don't think it's out on Switch yet.
Oh, really?
my friend.
Oh.
That's what I've been waiting for. So if it is,
Yeah,
I'm
I don't
gonna
know.
be pissed.
All right, I guess not.
It is a great Steam Deck game.
Yes,
great
it
Steam
really
Deck game.
feels ideal for that. Jeff, oh yeah, you're right.
The 26th, October 26th.
Yes. So get ready, Switch people. Oh, you Switch people. Also, yeah, the weird thing is they announced their next game. Did you see this? Mint
Rocket did?
Yeah, the developers of Dave the Diver.
Oh.
And it's called Naquan: Last Paradise. And it's third person survive. It looks like Last of Us, if I may, but multiplayer focused.
What?
Let's see. We unveil the inside of the city filled with zombies and the performance of survivors who, despite the danger, try their best to secure resources and contribute to Naquan. Just wild night and day experience for their next game. But good on them, I guess.
That's hilarious.
Kelsey,
Yes.
hello.
Hi.
Monster Hunter Now.
Yeah.
Right now.
Monster Hunter now. Right now.
I'm perplexed by this game. It feels like every story I've heard about Niantic over the last couple of years is like, they're trying a bunch of stuff and it's failing, no big deal. And then there's a quiet group of people who are saying, actually, Monster Hunter Now is the new game for the developers of Pokemon Go, and it's like really ambitious and cool, and it should be swept into the same bucket as all those now failed attempts from Niantic.
Yeah, Niantic is a mystery company to me. I don't really understand what their strategy is. Like, they've made some very strange, like that NBA one they made was a very weird thing to try. And I feel like all of these games would be so much better if they just only did like 3 instead of 8 or however many they have. They, Ingress and I think the Harry Potter one's dead now, but they're still doing Pokemon. I'm still playing Pikmin Bloom every day.
Whoa.
Into it.
Yeah, even though that game has gotten worse in a lot of ways, but they keep adding cute little Pikmin costumes. So how
Oh
can
my
you
god, I
resist?
got one just today from A&W. That was a little Pikmin in a box of French fries.
Oh my
good.
god!
Good. The Halloween treat ones that are going on right now, so adorable. They got like a little bat charm with a little lollipop, and it's great. Anyways, Monster Hunter Now, that's the new Niantic game. And yeah, it's just same general formula where like the idea is to get you to walk around more and like interact with your surroundings and stuff. This one's a Monster Hunter skin. Monster Hunter is a pretty complicated game, so this is obviously a much more slimmed down version of that. Most of the actual combat in the game is just kind of tapping the screen to attack and swiping to dodge away from the monster.
That's something.
And it started off honestly really boring for me. I thought like the first, 10 missions it puts you through are really kind of nothing. Like your initial weapons you get are just a sword and shield, and you really do feel like all you're doing is just tapping the screen, and there's absolutely no there's no strategy or anything to it. But as you start leveling up and stuff and unlocking more monsters, because as it starts, you only get about 3 like pretty weak monsters that you can see around you. So just like Pokemon Go or whatever, like you just kind of see them on the map. You need to get close enough for them to pop up, and then you can, click to fight the monsters. As you level up, you unlock a lot more types of monsters that can exist in the wild. So you're going to start by killing a bunch of like great Jagresses and getting a really crappy Jagress weapon. And then you'll use that to kill better monsters and, craft a better weapon and better armor sets. And it's just kind of that same progression that they do in a regular Monster Hunter game, but with a lot more tapping your phone and swiping and, wandering around the world to try to find these. So now that I am, I'm HR 40 in the game, so I've been playing for a little bit. It's not that hard to level up in this game, but you do. I mean, I'm playing every day. I'm killing monsters every day, and I think it's really great. I think if you have one person to play with, your experience is like easily 3 times as good. I have some friends who are playing, no one who like lives with me or anything, but the couple of times I've gotten to like go and walk around, take a walk with my friend and be like, oh, let's go, let's go get that Legiana over there, or that Anjaneth over there, and we've been fighting it together. That's when I feel like it gets really good, because suddenly you can kill much more powerful monsters a lot easier instead of barely scraping by and taking forever to grind to, get a slightly better weapon to kill a maybe slightly better monster.
Right.
But yeah, so they're doing like weekly events now where like on the weekends they'll just have like, this weekend there's going to be a ton of Tobi-Kadachi that spawn, like, just you'll see those way more often. So if you're like, okay, cool, like I can, go around for a few hours and I can just really grind out a bunch of these guys, and then I can build a really good electric weapon, and then I have that for, whatever is weak against that. So I'm liking the events and stuff they're doing. And I don't know, I think it's pretty good. I think if you want another, like if you're done with Pokemon Go, have never heard of Pikmin Bloom, because you probably haven't, but like you want another Niantic game to pick up, I think it's one of the better ones, and hopefully they keep improving it. So
fingers crossed. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. It's gonna be a weird ride, I'm sure.
Well, I will say, and this is, to be fair, this is the exact same way I felt about Pikmin in the beginning. There's really no reason to spend any money in this game yet.
Okay.
Like, I have not found a reason to spend real money. I'm sure they will figure out a way to change that. Like, everything you can spend money on right now is they have a paintball system, just like in the old Monster Hunters when you would use a paintball to track the monsters.
Yeah.
Now you can be like, oh, I don't have time to fight this right now, but I'll throw a paintball at it, and then when I'm back home and I'm just, or I'm on the bus and I'm just sitting down,
you can like
again.
Save it?
Yeah.
That's cool.
So you can spend money on those, but like that's not, that's not really like a huge like, oh, I need to go
run away,
save.
Right? Like halfway through killing it, it doesn't like sprint across town.
No.
Okay, that'd be kind of funny though if you're like sprinting down the street, like it's about trying to go back to its nest.
I need to get an Uber. The monster's getting away.
But yeah, I don't know. Like I think Niantic is capable of making good games. They just don't like stick with them, or they eventually start being like, hey, this thing doesn't make money. We need to start squeezing really hard. So
yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, boy. Monster Hunter Now, everybody. Hey, Jeff, do you know how this whole thing operates?
Farming game magic.
Farming game magic! Bingo bango! Found at patreon.com/MinnMax with 2 N's, everybody. Help support independent games, media, and everybody on this here podcast by checking out that site, finding the tier that's right for you, find something that's sustainable, and then that makes us sustainable and the whole gosh darn operation sustainable. And thank you to everybody who supports us, and thank you to some of our biggest supporters. You know who they are. That's right, everybody. It's Factor! Factor is America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit. They can help you fuel up for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time. You want to save time, Leo?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. You want to eat well?
Yeah.
Well, that's Factor. And you want to stay on track with your healthy lifestyle?
Yeah.
Bing, bing, bing! That's Factor, dude!
3 bangs.
3 bangs! I really do love Factor. I am eager every time they ship a new batch to my house, but having stuff like, let's see, sun-dried tomato chicken, red chili pork tamale bowl, shredded chicken parmesan mac and cheese, and it's all good, it's varied, and everything. 2 minutes in the microwave. Done. Perfect little meals from Factor. They want you to know, hey, too busy this fall to cook? We all are. But want to make sure you're eating well? With Factor, you can skip the extra trip to the grocery store and the chopping, prepping, and cleaning up too, while still getting the flavor and nutritional quality you need. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are ready in 2 minutes, so all you have to do is heat and enjoy, then get back to crushing your goals. Am I right, Leo?
Wendy's style, fresh never frozen.
That's it. They say, hey, looking for calorie-conscious options during the busy season? Try delicious, dietitian-approved, calorie-smart meals with around or less than 550 calories per serving. So this October, get Factor and enjoy eating well without the hassle. Simply choose your meals and enjoy fresh, flavor-packed meals delivered to your door. Ready in just 2 minutes, no prep, no mess. Head to factormeals.com. I was going to say the phrase call to action, which they had written in the ad copy, but you don't do that.
Call to action!
Call to action, ladies Ladies and gentlemen, head to factormeals.com/MinnMax50 and use code MinnMax50 to get 50% off. That's code MinnMax50 at factormeals.com/MinnMax50 to get 50% off. Thank you, Factor Meals. Genuinely a great sponsor. I love Factor. Also, shout out to stamps.com, everybody. If you want to ship stuff, don't be a doofus. Use stamps.com. We have our big charity stream coming up on Saturday, November 4th, and we have a ton of great charity auction items we'll need to ship out. And this year, I'm going to learn the lesson and use stamps.com and save, how much money do you think, Kelsey?
Well, hang on. Did you go to the post office before?
I went to the post
Yes.
office and spent over $1,000 shipping out those charity auction items.
Oh my gosh. You're not only going to
What a
save a bunch
fool.
of money, but you are going to mostly save your sanity and
Yeah.
your time. Because what I do when I go to the post office, after I've used stamps.com, genuinely I use this in my business all the time, I just walk up with my like big thing of packages and I just set them on the counter and then I walk out.
Nice.
I don't have to say a word to anyone. It's,
You could scowl if you want to. What a delight.
yeah. Well, I always like make eye contact with the people standing in line.
Oh, rub it in a little
Yeah.
bit.
To let them know that you're better
Yeah,
than
it's
them.
like you can just
Yeah.
do this. You can do this
Assert
online. All you have
dominance.
to do is weigh it. You just have to have a scale, which I'm pretty sure Stamps sends you, right?
They send you a free digital scale, they tell us.
Yeah, see? Yep.
There we go.
Yep.
Next time, just walk by the line and just whisper, stamps.com. Promo code MinnMax. It's your own personal post office wherever you are. With stamps.com, all you need is a computer and a printer. They even send you a free scale, as we said. So you'll have everything you need to get started. If you sell products online, stamps.com seamlessly connects with every major marketplace and shopping cart. Get huge carrier discounts up to 84% off of USPS and UPS rates to help your bottom line. You can get your business ready for the holiday rush. Get started with stamps.com today. Sign up with promo code MinnMax for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a free digital scale. And Jeff, you can put anything you want on that scale. You can put your ear, your board games,
Hallucinogenics.
And the thing about
I can weigh my
stamps.com,
hallucinogenics with that scale?
anything
for
you
free.
want, and then ship them to me. And there's no long-term commitments or contracts. Just go to stamps.com, click the microphone at the top of the page, and enter the code MinnMax. And there are 2 N's of MinnMax. Also, thank you to our dear friends at I Am 8-Bit. They want you to know about the Neon White vinyl soundtrack, Part 1 and Part 2. Double vinyl soundtracks here. There's Part 1, The Wicked Heart, and then Part 2, The Burn That Cures. What a cool way to phrase your soundtrack. They know their audience. If you remember Neon White, that cool game from not too long ago, made for freaks by freaks, all that fun stuff. So you can get the vinyl soundtrack at I Am 8-Bit. That was their official motto, Jeff. I'm not calling them freaks.
No, you're reading the
Serious?
stamps.com copy.
I'm
got
sorry.
mixed
IM8bit.com, everybody. Help them out. They're wonderful. Check out their wonderful online store. Truly a gamer's paradise. They don't say it, we say it. And you can use the promo code OOPSALLGHOULS. OOPSALLGHOULS for 10% off of everything under $100. Help support IM8bit because they've been supporters of ours for a long time. And they're very generous and they're going to be contributing a ton of stuff for our big charity stream coming up in early November. Like, again, everybody over there is so great at im8bit.com. Reach out and say, hey, we have a charity stream coming up. Could we get some of the bigger items? They say, yeah, absolutely. Here's 6 of our biggest, most expensive items to donate to charity. So just off that alone, please throw some love to im8bit.com. Promo code OOPSALLGHOULS. No space, all caps for 10% off everything under $100. And help support IM8bit because they ship out a prize each and every week to a member of the MinnMax community. If you support us on Patreon, you can submit a question for the podcast. We choose our favorite, and they win a prize. And this week, because IM8bit's cool, they're shipping out the Nintendo Switch exclusive edition of Cozy Grove. Just shipping you a physical Switch game with Cozy Grove, thanks to IM8bit. So look alive, you gotta remember who's the best question. All right, here we go. First question. Travis in Fargo writes in, they say, if Guy Fieri featured a restaurant on one of his shows, would that make you more or less likely to go there?
More.
More.
Yeah. Who's Travis in Fargo? Are you a snob in Fargo? Who's saying, well, Guy's been here? I'm out. I want nothing to do with this. It's fun.
His whole show is he picks up a piece of food and goes, this is so good. I love it. He does that 4 to 6 times per episode. And he's
And
always
then you look
right.
at that and you go, ugh.
I guess it's possible.
I go, I want it.
Have you also noticed, I don't feel like I get around that much, but I feel like it's gotten to the point where 40% of the restaurants I go into, they say as featured on
I
Diner
was just
Driving.
gonna say that. Like, I swear to God, I go into a burger place, I open the menu, and it's like, Guy Fieri, love this. Like, where hasn't this man been?
But here's the thing. He really cheats because I went on a whole Minnesota spree of Guy Fieri's show a while ago, and like we looked up like a database to see every Minnesota
Went
state.
on a tour, a pilgrimage. You followed in his footsteps.
Well, not quite. We just looked at every Minnesota place he'd been to and then watched all those episodes. And
Fun.
and some of those I was really excited because like, oh, Anchor up there, which is near Duluth, technically in Wisconsin, but it's like one of my favorite burger places. It's so good. And so we watched the episode on that. He really phoned it in, like literally. He just like sent a camera guy up there and then he just did VO. Like, doesn't that look good? That's not what you want. You want to see him noshing on the burgers, you know? It's not fair. So yeah, we'll all,
fair.
He's gonna love it anyway.
yeah, I guess you're right. Do you think he's ever, like, I would love to know, give him some truth serum and just figure out, like, have you ever not liked something you've eaten at one of these places and faked it fully?
You, sir, have wasted my time.
I imagine they just don't air it if you like can't even give a good stage reaction.
Like the opposite of Hell's Kitchen. Like if Gordon Ramsay liked the food, they'd be like, "You're good."
Right, right.
What a bad episode.
Oh, how depressing would that be if it's like Guy Fieri's coming in and then he takes a bite and he's like, not enough grease. On my way out. And then you just realize they're not going to air it. Oh, that'd be soul crushing. You probably would
that
tell
would
all your
suck.
friends, the restaurant's going to be on the show. Restaurant's going to be on the show.
I bet they screen it enough ahead of time where that doesn't happen.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Send us pictures of the burger up front.
Please. Steve Zevitz writes in and says, hey, Mins and Maxes alike. That's us. Figure out who's who. I was recently thinking about the mythology of gaming in the pre-internet days. Before the prevalence of sites like GameFAQs or subreddits dedicated to a specific game existed, we had to rely on word of mouth to figure out the tips and tricks to find Easter eggs or unlock hidden mechanics. One of the most iconic examples I can think of is how everyone had a friend who swore that if you mash slash held slash alternately press the A, B button in Pokemon, you can increase the success rate of your Pokeball. For me, it was down and B. That's what I heard would increase the odds that you're going to catch the Pokemon. But what are some of your favorite or most memorable examples of fake cheat codes or hidden levels in games?
I didn't know that this was supposed to be like sans internet. Because I don't know if I didn't have friends who played video games, so all mine are like from dusty GameFAQ corners.
Okay.
But
so they were legit?
the one that I know, and Kelsey might know this one too, is for Animal Crossing on the GameCube. I read a rumor that like in the middle of the night, if you go to Tom Nook's like little shop, and if you bang on it with a shovel, you can bust in and he'll talk to you.
Whoa.
And then I know. And then here's the thing is like I tried that as a kid and I was like, nothing happened. Like nothing ever happened. And then I learned when I was 20, Kelsey, would you like to fill everyone else in?
No, I don't want to steal your thunder here.
No.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
That's true in Dotsumori E+ for the Japanese GameCube, the third version of the game that came out in Japan.
Oh.
So
Basically, what
it's
happens?
real thing.
Yeah,
And
it was
he
real,
does come
but just
out
I had
with
the wrong
pajamas.
game.
Yeah.
And somebody wrote it in English, and they were like, yeah, no, you can totally bust in there. And apparently in the Japanese version, if you bust in on him in the middle of the night, he'll like raise the prices by 20% because you annoyed him so much the next day.
But he'll
and
open.
he'll like, yeah, he'll
Like,
open.
he'll open.
But
Like, he'll be
everything
like,
will be
"Okay,
more
you can come in."
expensive, and he won't buy your stuff for as much either.
That's such a cool idea. Didn't you just go back to Animal Crossing, Sarah?
I am obsessed with Happy Home Paradise right now.
Really?
I am in like my second coming of playing Animal Crossing. Like I just got sick enough. All it took was just getting sick enough to send me back into the arms of Animal Crossing.
Huh. That's just like your cozy, I'm sick in the morning, I want to play a game. Happy Home Paradise.
Yeah, and
is the way to
apparently
go.
I missed out on like, I played Happy Home Paradise, but I only played it for like a couple hours. And that has a lot of stuff in it. It's a long DLC.
I feel
It
like
is a
I
grind.
might
Dare I say a
wanna-
grind?
I feel like I might want to go back to that too. Like,
It's
'cause
the
I didn't
time
really...
is now.
Okay.
Is it?
Because I
This
mean,
is the Animal Crossing Renaissance.
I don't like New Horizons, and I've said that before. But really? You guys are looking at me in shock. I haven't said this.
no,
I mean, I guess I
I'm
forgot.
not.
I mean, we've talked about it for like a dozen hours with the deepest dive, but I guess I forgot that conclusion.
Yeah, I think it's not the Animal Crossing for me, but I do think that Happy Home Paradise, while not being like a core Animal Crossing thing, is probably a still very fun thing that I would enjoy.
Yeah. Kath wrote in asking if anybody had a hot take on the Animal Crossing Lego sets. Sarah, do you think you're going to buy those things?
I don't know. I will buy them because I am in that state where I will buy anything that they brand Animal Crossing. But I look at them and I'm like, if you took away these little animals, could you even tell that it was Animal Crossing? And I think the issue is like Animal Crossing does not have a lot of distinctive buildings. You know, it's not a Star Wars, not a Minecraft. You know, there's no like distinct visuals. And then it's like, I'm sorry, that balloon present is ugly. They didn't get it right. It's ugly. The cherries are ugly. The apples are ugly. Hideous.
All the
only
thing
thing
are cute, but
the Nook Shop one is very cute. But then it's like, what? This is just a boat. This could have been a boat in any Lego set. I could have built this boat with Legos.
If anyone is clipping this, crop me out of it, please.
Take me out of the narrative.
In terms of like rumors, this person, Steve Zatz, also writing about like the hot coffee thing in San Andreas. I guess that was a big one. That became a larger than life story when it was real and in the code. That was a confusing thing that you could hack your way into it to see CJ having sex is such a stupid idea. But for me, it was like Pokemon, like it just was the slam dunk, like schoolyard Pokemon stuff. I don't know what it was about that game that was so magical. Maybe just everybody had it, but just rumors were flying all over the place. And my friend insisted that he caught a Pika-Blue, like was really arguing in Pokemon Red and Blue, like, no, I caught a Pokemon, it's called Pika-Blue. And like, it's so fascinating to think of like, did you just see like a Japanese promotion that had Meryl in it from Gold and Silver? And then that's how the word, Kelsey, do you know, is that where Pika-Blue came from?
Pika-Blue was Meryl. That was like an early sneak preview of the next generation. Like Meryl was one of the first Pokemon that was, I don't know, shown in the media in any way. And so people just named him Pika-Blue.
That is weird. Have I just fallen out of love with Pokemon and gotten out of the loop? But it's weird to even think of Meryl as like a Pikachu clone. Like maybe they just got so much closer later on.
There's one every generation.
Is it every generation? We got
Pikachu,
Mimikyu.
Yeah. What do you think Dedenne is for? Like,
and then
Mimikyu, Dedenne?
The plus and minus little guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it really? Raticate. They're always there. Yeah. Alex Britt writes in and says, what's the biggest change you made in your life that brought you the most happiness?
What the heck?
What? I'm sorry. We can take a dumber question if you want.
No. I want to see how people answer this.
Okay. Biggest change that has brought you the most happiness.
Where I had a mind shift and I don't know how old I was, but you know that feeling where you're trying to get somebody to like you and you're talking to them and you're like, oh, I got to ask another question. There's a pause and they won't like me if I don't keep up the combo.
Podcasting?
And I got to some point in my... What's that?
I said podcasting? Sorry, I interrupted you because there was a pause. Go ahead.
That was like exactly what I was talking about.
Wow.
And then one day I woke up and I'm like, are they trying that hard with me? And I like thought about it really critically and I'm like, if they're not going to try hard, I'm not either. And it like really changed the way that I like feel anxious around other people. If I'm like, hey, how's it going? They're like, hey. I'm like, well, how was your weekend? Oh, it's fine. And then they don't talk to me. I'm like, cool, bye. Like, I just don't feel the need to be like, how are your kids? Like, question.
You
just
must
okay,
like
you don't
me.
care.
That's a good lesson. And when did you learn this?
I probably was like third year university or something, and I was just slowly starting to get tired and tireder and tireder, have less energy to expend on other people.
Yeah, that takes self-confidence too. That takes like knowing that you're a person who's fun to spend time with, and like you don't have to give that to everybody.
Yeah. Like when I was in high school, I had no confidence in that way, and I would just be like, oh God, I gotta be entertaining at all times. It was exhausting, and now I'm like, I could care less. Goodbye. Like I'm tired. 30
Totally.
now. Ugh.
I know this is just probably some deep anxiety and stuff, but what percentage of the time when you all are talking to other people are you thinking about the way you look? Not like in a, I don't think overly superficial way, like, oh, my hair looks stupid or something, but like, I was just having
staring a specific place. Like if they're looking down at like my nose a lot, I'm like, oh, what's wrong with my nose? Like otherwise, I don't think I think of it that much.
And what was wrong with your nose?
It was big.
Okay, that's not true. No, I just, I was in a situation recently. We were doing a bunch of house stuff, right? And talking about buying a house and like talking to the inspector. All I could think about the entire time as he was saying a bunch of words I didn't understand was, I hope I look like I understand what he's talking about right now. It was just like a constant refrain in my mind of just just try and convey.
Can you show us your face?
Yeah. It's like this.
Can you
Your
recreate
house
it?
face?
Yeah, so normally my face is blah, 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 video games, Metal Gear Solid 2, blah, blah, blah. But then if I'm trying to really seem like an adult that knows what somebody's talking about, I literally have a little mental trick where I think of like focusing energy in a certain part of my brain. I really do. It's a weird thing. But here it is. Okay, you tell me. You tell me how it goes. Okay, I'll do this old-fashioned thing, the hand over the face move for the video people watching. So this is stupid, normal me, and then... I can't do it out loud. Just imagine that I look like a very serious adult who knew everything about houses in that moment.
Were you like nodding a lot?
That was the secret. You have to nod a lot.
That all you have to do is like nod and go like, oh, okay.
You kind of like narrow your eyes a little bit and like have a thoughtful.
So nobody else has a mode of I'm gonna pretend to be a super adult right now mode?
I mean, yeah, like internal monologue.
Sure. But I'm not worried about if I look like a super adult while I'm doing it, I guess.
Okay, maybe I just am a default to dopey smile more often, so I'm trying to wipe that off my own stupid face.
I think I get hyper aware of how short I am sometimes in those situations. Like especially in like when an adult is saying serious adult stuff to me, but they have to literally like look down at me and I'm looking up at them. I'm like, is anyone taking this interaction seriously?
I always expect like when I'm with someone's telling me something super serious, I'm also short. I'm also Kelsey height. I expect them to like take a knee and go like, hey champ, I gotta talk to you about something.
Your hair a little bit.
Take that lolly out of your mouth. We gotta have a serious chat. Come on.
A couple years ago, I started really making a goal out of like self-compassion, out of like forgiving myself for things. And mainly when I have a thought about thinking I'm stupid or I did something super wrong, like taking the time to go like, here's what I wish I thought instead, and form that thought and think that for a little bit. And over the course of like a year, that really like changed the way I thought about myself. Like I was really surprised how learnable that is.
I like that a lot because it's really hard to, when people are like, oh, just like think nice things about yourself instead. I don't know, framing it as like, well, I wish I was thinking this nice thing about myself is like, that's a much easier goal.
Right. Because you like don't believe it, but you're like, this would be nice. And then you do it long enough. If you make it a concerted goal, eventually I believed it. And now I believe it. And now it's like my default thought.
Nice.
Oh, that's so nice.
Neil Brennan, the comedian, he has a bit where he just has a stupid song. And it's one of those stupid songs that's like, it's stuck in my brain because it's effective. And it's a stupid song where he just goes, nobody's mad at you. Nobody's mad at you. You're having a private experience. It's like, okay. It's a nice little refrain to run through your head every once in a while. Like, no one's even thinking about you, let alone mad about you. Unless you're Holly Hunt. What's the, hang on. Everybody hold up. Quick Google to nail this joke. Yeah, no one's mad about you unless you're Helen Hunt.
Nice.
Worth it.
Mad about you.
Hang on, are you guys mad at me now because I made a bad joke and forced it?
I just want to say on that topic one more thing, just because it is so important to me. It's like that really has been the key to so many things about motivating myself and being self-employed and things. Forgiving myself for not hitting my goals is like the only first step towards actually hitting them. If you just keep beating yourself up about not doing what you intended to do, it just spirals and gets worse and worse and worse.
And you had a patch of that?
For sure, all the time. If a day, like, if I was like, oh, I had a free day to do nothing but this work, and then I didn't do it, then it's like, spoils my mindset for the next few days too, versus going like, I know sometimes my brain is going to try to rest no matter what I do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've talked about it a lot, but like getting into biking, even just like during the winter, like an exercise bike, just biking for an hour every morning truly changes my mood throughout the entire day. Like it lowers anxiety. And like, I know we've talked about it in party chat a lot, but if I don't exercise for an hour in the morning, I can hear myself stumble over my words 4 times as much on a podcast, which I'm very self-conscious about. It's bizarre how tangible it is. Like, oh, just hour of biking really smooths things out in a big way.
When I would work out before I played Siege, I would have better aim.
Really?
My reflexes and like fine mouse movement was noticeably different.
Nice.
Just from like the blood flow, I guess.
And just your workout routine was just lifting a heavy gun around the house?
Like,
oh, the finger?
I hold a mouse in each hand.
I I mean, the only thing that's worked for me consistently with my health is I stopped framing it as like, oh, I should like eat healthier so I can lose 5 pounds or whatever. Like I should have more toned abs or whatever. And just started thinking of it kind of like kind of what biking is doing for you, which is just like, I am just a better human when I get some regular exercise and put better food in my body. So I've been switching my mindset to that and not worrying about how it physically affects like my outward appearance, and just being like, well, if I have protein, then I just feel better. If I, have vegetables and do, 15 minutes of working out in the morning or something, that's the only thing that's kept me consistent, and it's been very helpful.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great mindset. Sure. Your body totally does like ask for things. Sometimes I'll feel off and be like, oh yeah, I haven't had fruit today. Like, what if I just had an apple? And it helps a lot. And just more attainable, less negative consequences if you don't do it, mentally.
Yeah. Speaking of negative consequences, Jump on Everything writes in and says, what is a game you considered bad or even terrible, but you still love to play?
I only like good games.
Oh, interesting. You've come to the right place, sir.
Does it count if the game is like bad for you? Because like Dead by Daylight's so bad for me. It makes me so angry, but I play it so much.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, we're just become so toxic in the online space and the competitive nature that it truly feels bad, even if it's not.
Dead by Daylight people are so toxic, and I'm a Dead by Daylight person, so I can say that. I'm not coming for anyone, but God, the teabagging, the griefing, I'm at the gate, you can't get me, the teabag. I just was like... It makes me rage. But then I load up and I queue up another game and I try to kill them all again. So what am I doing to myself?
Yeah,
that is a good distinction. I kind of push back on like, if you like a game, it is good. It's all subjective, whatever. But like, that is the exception is when I would like play Sniper Elite multiplayer or whatever for 3 hours and be like, I was just mad that whole time. I didn't add anything to my life.
Yeah, what am I doing?
That question made me think of the old Ninja Gaiden games that I like playing through, which are just objectively just not good or fun games, but I played them at a time in my life where I was open to that kind of trial and error until you just kind of memorize, levels and things, and it got very zen for me, in a weird way that I wouldn't recommend for anybody, but worked for me at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and any game like that becomes fun if you're trading it off with friends. We did that with Ninja Gaiden, and it was a really good experience. We've done it with like Rugrats games for Game Boy. Like just switching off every death gives it an energy.
Of Rugrats every death.
Yes. Oh my God, it's like Tomb Raider. The animations are crazy.
That explains why you were so good at the Shrek game and why you had to carry us through it.
I love switching off. I was just talking about that game recently, how surprisingly good that co-op was. The hero time, the moments where one person would get highlighted and do a special minigame.
Every co-op game needs that for sure. Michael Griffin says, hello, Minius Maximus. That's us. With the recent announcement of the PS5 Slim, I was wondering what everyone's favorite console/handheld revisions are. Mine is probably one that I remember most fondly as a kid, which is the GBA SP. That's a biggie with the light.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kelsey, I saw Pink Gorilla post something on Instagram recently, which was like the Famicom colored GBA SP. Like, I didn't even realize that was a thing. Like, I don't know how that completely slipped by my radar. I was like, oh, that's such a weird idea.
There's also an NES one.
Okay, but they released the Famicom color version in the States?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, that's what I was confused about. It's like, that's a weird
I think
detail.
it was only in Japan. But yeah, that one's cool. I don't know. Nintendo's so good at special edition consoles, and I don't know. We've talked about this before, but they have not leaned into it enough with the Switch, I feel like.
Yeah.
My favorite's the DS Lite. I feel like it's just the perfect handheld. Like, no flaws, best form factor.
Yeah.
Fits in, I mean, not in girl pockets, but fits in like any normal pocket.
Fits in a purse.
Unlike abnormal girl pockets.
In like a coat pocket. Like, it, just really, I don't know. It's beautiful. I feel like it's just the perfect shape and the perfect feeling handheld. And I don't know. I don't know how they can nail it more than that.
Yeah, it's also like depending on, when you look in the rearview mirror for the light as well and what was coming from, which was a monstrosity dev unit looking thing with the original DS, like it just feels night and day.
And you just keep it on the color gray, the ugliest color. Why would they do that?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I had been kind of checked out on Nintendo things, and so I got the DS Lite, and then I saw someone playing the original DS and it was like the first time I had seen one, and it was such an ugly monstrosity that I was like, what is even in your hands, and why aren't you throwing it in that garbage can?
I think I have mine right here.
Don't show it to us. We're going to freak out. Please,
No?
seriously, Haley.
If you show it, we have to blur it out.
Yeah, I'm serious. Don't show that on the internet.
And it's still somehow better than the prototype DS, like the one that they were showing off when they first announced the DS. Like, it still is an improvement on that one.
Really? I don't even know.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on.
It had like weird like lines on it.
Yep. Oh, it looks like a little handheld computer from like 1993, the prototype DS. It's going to help you learn the ABCs or something.
The beige one?
Yeah, it looks beigey in the lighting in certain ways, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was just kind of like a light gray, but maybe it is kind of beigey. But yeah, it's got like weird little indents on the sides, and it's just a straight line down the console, and
maybe
it's not good.
Maybe
it's
I'm
like
out of
like a McDonald's toy.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Am I out of the loop on the PS5 Slim thing? Like, it's probably my least favorite revision, just for seeing it, and then
Is it actually slim? Because I have the PS2 Slim, and that's genuinely, it's like notebook size slim.
It's delightful.
You're abusing the word slim here.
It's not slim at all. I there's a lot of squinting and like reading the entire PlayStation blog post, but like, what is this? How different? It's 30% quieter and it's a little bit skinnier. It's like, I don't want to have to squint at a revision. It's less exciting that way. And the PS5 Slim feels like the perfect example of like, I don't even know what I'm looking at as the difference here. Detachable disk drive, all that stuff. Vincent L, hot one for you, Kelsey. What is your preferred matchup for the World Series? Go.
Oh, well, I was hoping the Orioles would make it, but they just got eliminated yesterday, so that's not going to happen anymore.
I'm sorry.
Twins.
Hey!
Let's get the twin. Yeah.
Okay. So, ideal it's Twins versus...
I guess Diamondbacks, because I hate everyone else on the National League side right now. I'm a Mets fan, so that puts the Braves out, the Phillies out. I'm honestly rooting for like a meteor to happen during that series rather than either of those two teams advance. And then I don't know, the Dodgers are boring. They've done this plenty. I've seen them plenty. No one likes the Astros, or you shouldn't like the Astros. So other than that, I still have a soft spot for the Rangers because I spent like 10 years living in Dallas, but I feel like the Twins should go. That just feels.
It's our time.
I love an underdog, and like it's a fun team to watch, and I don't know, they deserve it so much more than freaking Astros.
Astros. Let's see. Andrew Baker says, "Hey, MinnMaxers, I'm strolling through the grocery store, and I've got one question on my mind. What is the candy bar you get occasionally when standing in the checkout line? What's the go-to? For me, it's
great question.
Twix, or I think Milky Way is my number one.
Mars bar.
Mars bar.
For me, Hershey's cookies and cream.
You dirty dog.
Whoa.
I got it since I was a kid, and I always expect it to be like time limited and gonna go away at some point. It's still there. You can still grab it.
I feel like
what about cookies and cream feels time limited? I know exactly what you mean, but why do we feel that way?
I don't know.
I'm with you 100%. That doesn't feel like a permanent flavor.
Right.
It's living on borrowed
cookies
time.
are rare and cream is so rare.
Aldi's has chocolate bars that look bougie, but they're like $2, and so I'll always grab some of those.
Aldi's chocolate bars, interesting.
Aldi's peanut butter cups.
Mini
also
M&Ms.
Mini M&Ms.
Yeah, mini M&Ms. There's just something different when they're small and like there's something about the size of the mini M&M in the tube.
Those
they got them in a shareable size now. You can get a full bag of them, and you can stick your hand in.
That's so dangerous.
The sensory experience.
There's something special about like doing like throwing the mini M&Ms back like a shot in the tube. That's
true.
But I feel
Well,
like
you can
I
fill
just
up tubes.
I'd have to get a tube and fill it. Like I can't recreate it in a bag.
Shot glass.
You can fill up a champagne flute now. Out of the bag.
Channing Freeman says, I've been replaying Cyberpunk now that Phantom Liberty's out. If you set your controller down during an early mission, Jackie Wells will say, ring-a-ding-ding, choom, let's get going. And he says it exactly every 8 seconds until you proceed with the mission. Why do games do this? If a player is idle, they presumably have a reason they're idle.
Forgot I was supposed to be playing this.
Right. It is a good point. I guess it's because it shatters the reality of the world if everyone's just staring at you quietly, but also immediately shatters the reality of the world when they say something and then you don't do anything. And then
Every 8 seconds.
Yeah.
I have the best idle story.
Take it away.
With Fallout 4? I think it was Fallout 4. When I just had gotten my PlayStation 4 and I was so excited. And my mom called me upstairs to do something. And I had booted up Fallout 4. It's the first game I ever played. And I put it down when you're in like the main house of the bad guy or whatever. Like the game starts out and you're with the bad guy. He's like talking to you. And I went upstairs and apparently if you just stay idle, you get a mysterious ending cutscene if you just stay, if you don't leave. So I came back downstairs to the game, like an ending cutscene, and I was like, what? I was just upstairs for a minute. It was like the end, and I was like, I had to Google it. They're like, yeah, there's a secret cutscene. I was like, what? And I came down at the perfect time, right when the cutscene was starting. He was getting in a helicopter or something, and I was like, what's happening? I was like, you did it. Let's go. And then it was like the end, and the credits started rolling, and I was like.
And
Yeah,
then
Far Cry 4, I think that was. That was really funny.
Yeah.
Oh, what did I
wish more
say?
games did that. Fallout
You said
4,
Fallout.
Fallout 4, Far Cry 4. Thank
Okay,
you.
there we go. Jared Pierce writes in. They say, do you think there exists a scenario where you could be moved to tears by a vocal performance of Party Rock Anthem by LMFAO? Is there anything in the world that could make that happen? Move to tears.
It would need to be a very specific scenario.
Yeah.
Like the world would actually have to be ending, and I would be like, "Is this how I go out?"
Oh,
listening,
Shuffling with the people in your neighborhood.
shuffling, and I'd be dancing. Like as the sun comes closer to the earth. Like, yeah, I think I'd cry.
So it's not the song itself. It's just you need to be in an environment that's so bad that you're crying.
I do think the song would so add to the situation of the world ending, though.
Right.
Like, I don't think I'd want to die to any other song, honestly.
Is there a like slow instrumental version of Party Rock Anthem?
Guaranteed. And it's going to be used in the next AAA game reveal trailer. I'm feeling pretty confident about.
I want to go make that infuser right now.
Yeah. I was thinking like maybe if it was like a Interstellar situation and I was like Matt Damon putting myself in the cryo tank and I haven't seen another person for like 20 years or whatever. And then somebody wakes me up by playing that song and it's just like a weird nostalgia blast for all of planet Earth. I need you to combine everything that's good about life in planet Earth and funnel it through the prism of Party Rock Anthem before I feel like I'd get emotional based on the performance of Party Rock Anthem.
One of my favorite interviews is with John Taffer of Bar Rescue. It's a text interview. The interview closes out with him talking about the second of 2 times he's ever cried in a bar. And he said it was when a band was playing a song in the 80s. The band was The Knack. The song was My Sharona.
Powerful.
It doesn't feel far off if you can cry at that. I feel like it's all just the power of the performance.
Tom writes in and says, hey, do either Ben or Leo remember the name of Leo's stealth game from last week? Take it away, Leo.
Shadow Gambit, The Cursed Crew.
Way to go. Have you started that yet, Jeff?
It really took me a while. It was a lot of times learning it.
I was feeling very confident about it up until I read the question that I had a cold panic of, oh, crap, I forgot what the first words are. Have you started that thing, Jeff?
I haven't.
Okay.
Is it Baldur's Gate 3, Hanson?
I'd rather play it than Baldur's Gate 3, but with all due respect to Baldur's Gate 3, with all due respect, Leo, calm down.
I would rather play Baldur's Gate. I don't know why I'm playing Shadow Gambit.
There we go.
RabidLime asks, okay, I'm sick of this question over and over again. Does reality exist within the universe, or is the universe inside this reality? This feels more like a Twitter poll.
Can't both be true?
No.
Can't be inside an experience. That doesn't make sense to me. Inside reality?
So
Yeah,
basically,
I think reality encompasses the universe. That's my answer.
Yeah.
so if the universe didn't
Reality's
exist,
experiencing the universe.
yeah, I think that's right. So if the universe ceased to exist, reality would still exist.
There'd be a reality, even if it was nothing. But there
Even if
might not be a
no one
universe.
was experiencing it.
The one true reality, Jeffem's reality. Okay, definitive as we can get. Dustin L. Sarah, do you like those kinds of questions?
It depends.
Yeah. When was the last time you think you had like a good scientific / religious epiphany in your life?
Not recently.
Not recently.
Not on a podcast, Hanson.
Surely not on a podcast.
Why not here? Why not now? But like within the last 10 years, you think you've had that like blah, universe moment?
We've all had that moment within the last 10 years.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. Okay.
What he's asking is, have you ever done hallucinogens
Yeah.
Stamps.com.
that you
I
weighed
weighed 'em out
earlier?
on my scale. Yeah.
How's your brain plasticity these days?
Dustin L writes in with a specific question that it should be for the group, but who we can. Dustin L says, I know all the cohorts are super plugged into the latest and greatest video game news, but I was wondering how well you all know the price of used video games. With most game purchases being digital nowadays, I think some of these prices may surprise you. So here's a quick over-under game. I'll give you a game and a price point. Kelsey Lewin, you tell me if if the actual price is over or under this number.
Is it just me again, or we just?
I mean,
just
Wait, can we all just like thumbs up, thumbs down if it's over or under?
yeah, and then Kelsey can volley it for the correct answer. Okay, Kelsey, over or under for the used price of this game currently? Answer with the real price from GameFly's latest sale. Apparently, is where these numbers are coming from. So
Gamefly?
yeah, GameFly.
We're going off a GameFly?
Oh, so these are like recent used games?
Yes. Yes. So this
Okay,
isn't going back
interesting.
in the history here. Okay, here we go. Star Wars Jedi Survivor, $30.
That's
Wait, what?
used.
People are saying
That's
over.
used.
I'm saying under.
Correct. $27.99 is the used price of Star Wars Jedi Survivor currently.
Wait, but aren't we all
the price
saying that
was
that
over
price
what the actual
is
price is.
over?
No.
That's what my thumb was supposed to
Well,
be.
your thumb was incorrect. No, they're giving a number, and then you say whether the actual price is over or under that. So,
Okay.
So,
Got it.
so you got to figure out your thumb
Okay,
strategy.
now that we've done a test run,
Now we're in it. Here we go. Kelsey, Final Fantasy 16 for $39.99. Where's the actual price?
That was a $70 game at launch, right?
It was.
I was going to say that's probably about 40 right now. I'm going to go over. I'm going to say it's like 45 then.
I'm sorry, it is $39 or $34.99 apparently.
Okay,
GameFly for Final
that's
Fantasy.
Okay,
fast.
Gamefly is not the metric I'm using to be like.
Should
I
look
thought this was going to be like, is Earthbound $200?
Oh God! Okay, Dustin L, you can write in with some ancient stuff for Kelsey. Okay, here we go. Lord of the Rings Gollum, $12.99. Actual price over or under for used?
please tell me it's under. Please
Oh,
tell me
there's
it's
a-
just like free.
There's an actual price option as well.
Well, no, just for the used
Okay.
price.
I still think that's over slightly.
Correct.
I know what we're doing,
$14.99. You got it, Haley. Here we go. Thank you, Dustin L, for writing in hot game price trivia. All right, that is it. By the way, fun fact: we're going to start doing something where if you submitted a question over on Patreon and we didn't read it on this here show, there's a chance it's still being answered on Party Chat, our bonus podcast. I'm taking some of the better questions that we don't get to in the main show, and that's going to be in our bonus podcast and the bonus podcast feed for Patreon supporters. So if your question wasn't answered here, it might be on Party Chat, so tune in every week, please, in that bonus podcast feed. But what do y'all like for a question of the week? I mean,
How people improve their lives.
that's tough to top. A very sweet one. I mean, the candy bar one is great. There's no doubt about it. But is everybody
The
feeling all
Party
right?
Rock Anthem one is good too.
Party Rock Anthem's good, no doubt. Which way would you go, Leo, if you had to choose? Think about it.
See, Leo was also my moral compass, so I agree with him in this situation.
I feel like Party Rock Anthem question writers can learn the most from.
What?
So that would be my answer for best.
Okay, hang on. I get it. So that's
More
the model.
questions like that.
You like it. Good weird thinkers. Now, I liked Alex Britt's angle of the changes brought you the most happiness, but where's everybody else at?
Yeah, no, it's great too. I don't want to.
It's great. No, there's no doubt it's great. There's no doubt it's great.
It's just we solved it. It's just people are happy now.
Right,
what
right.
question are people going to write?
I'm just trying to get a read from the group, other than Sarah, who's drafting behind Leo Vader. Read from the group. Do we want to give this to the question about LMFAO versus self-improvement?
Ben, here's my issue with you, and I think everyone will back me up on this. You had your answer already that you wanted to give to people.
I know.
And if Leo
Why
had
don't you
agreed with
say
you,
it?
you wouldn't ask anyone else. You'd be like, Leo said, we're done. But because Leo said what you didn't want, now you're opening it up to further people. And I disagree with that as a concept.
Fake democracy.
So,
Okay. All right. From here on out, we're sticking with it. Real democracy. We asked Leo. Leo will give us the answer. So congratulations, of course, to Jared Piers for winning Question of the Week, because we're people of honor here at MinnMax. I was just trying to see if there would be an outrage from anybody else. That's all that was happening there.
for what it's worth, I would have voted with you, but I disagree with your process.
Yes,
on
that's fair.
principle,
That's
so
fair.
Yep.
That's what
She
we're here
attacked
for.
the root of it, and I respect that so much.
That's right. Now it's time for something called Get a Load of This. Leo, hit us. Here we go. What do you got?
Get a load of this. So I was watching a YouTube video with my sweetie of a British guy touring Las Vegas's Carnival Hotel. And British people, God bless them, they got stupid names for everything. He walks through the carnival, he sees bumper cars, and he says, oh, they've got Dodgems! And I'm like, shut up. Dodgems. We agreed it's bumper cars. And then I look it up, and what else? As always, it was called Dodgems first. Because the point was you were dodging each other. And then people just started crashing into each other.
A different concept? Like bumper cars, the point is to bump into the cars.
Yeah, they
So
definitely pivoted towards what people
I want
wanted.
to know
but it's the
whose
same
idea
tech.
was like, no, people will swerve out of the way at the last second. Like, whose idea was like, no, I'll swerve. We'll just drive at each other, and at the last minute, we'll both swerve.
Not hitting bumper cars is just driving.
We do it every day.
Boring.
It sucks.
Yeah.
I love that. That's like a game design pivot. I like that. You're like, oh no, what's that? What are people doing? Okay, yeah, no, this is called bumper cars. The point is to ram into people. Absolutely, we meant that the whole
They're
time.
not dodging with their Dodgems?
Dodgems. That's perfect.
They go back to the drawing board.
Hold on, shut it down. Pause it, everybody. We gotta explain to you what a Dodgem is. There's not even like roads or a track that you go around.
No.
You're all just in one giant arena, right? Going in any direction.
Correct.
I think at the start you might have been trying to go in a circle around the arena.
That sucks.
Nah, that's
no good.
Make a track then. Lazy.
That's the beauty of early access.
Hey, get a load of this. This last weekend, we had a big Minnesota history weekend trip with the whole family, where it was all like southwestern Minnesota and a bunch of like battlefields from the Dakota War of 1862 and a bunch of cool stuff like that. But there's something in Minnesota that I'd never been to before, and it was fantastic. It's called Jeffers Petroglyphs. Have you heard of this, Jeffer Markiafava?
yeah, of course.
Really?
Everyone's been to Jeffers Petroglyphs.
Have you?
No.
Well, I'm going to start a stampede going there after this, by God. They're freaking awesome. It's a bunch of petroglyphs, but it's on Sioux quartzite, just this really hard rock. So all of these carvings have just been like amazingly preserved. And the tour guide blew my freaking mind, where she's like, oh yeah, we're dating these petroglyphs. They go back starting between 7,000 and 9,000 years ago. So she's like, this is well before the pyramids, well before Stonehenge, well before any of that stuff. And it's just these awesome relics from human history that is right here in Minnesota. And we don't really talk about that much, but it is mind blowing. And like, yeah, they have just cool carvings in there from, thousands and thousands of years across time. But one of them is, she had some way of phrasing it like it's the largest prehistoric map in existence, but it is a map of like hunting grounds, and it's the size of a 3-car garage that was just carved into this rock thousands of years ago. It's like, how? it's just mind-boggling stuff. So Jeffers Petroglyphs, if you're in Minnesota, check it out. Cool history.
I think they should come up with a better name.
It's truly
than
bad.
Jeffers.
Especially,
I
yes,
don't know. Maybe Jeffers found it, but like you gotta let go, buddy.
found it. That is exactly, we talked about that. Yeah, because it's like, oh, there was a family in the 1900s, the Jeffers, and so it's named after them. But like we asked, like, is there like a Native American word for this place? And like, yes. And it was one of those where apparently like they brought somebody in to give it an official Native American word in like the 70s or 80s. And God bless them, but it's like, you know, it's one of those words that's like 3 paragraphs long. So I think it's one of those like, if it had a shorter Native American word, we could work it in, but we'll just stick with Jeffers Petroglyphs. Thank you. So it's a mess. Sarah, you got one?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not as cool as yours.
Thank you.
Get a load of this. One of my hobbies is finding out all the weird brands and things that Japan likes to make hot anime guys out of. That is my hobby. Recently, Sanrio released a series of knights who have pledged themselves to the various Sanrio characters to fight for their honor. So each Sanrio character, and like even like the most obscure characters, like one of them is just a piece of salmon. They now have a hot anime boy swearing fealty to them.
Have one?
Yeah, they're not revealed yet. They're slowly revealing them. Like this just started, and they've been slowly revealing each and every one. I'm here for it. I love it.
I'm staring.
They haven't announced what it's going
right
to be
now.
though.
This is
That's the
awesome.
thing. Is it a video game? Is it a mobile game? Is it going to be like a CD drama? Like what are we doing here? And they're like, here's some hot guys.
Are the hot guys you can
For
wash
you.
up on the beach and like Hello Kitty Island Adventure? Like, where are we?
That would be great.
Yeah, we need people to worship. Yeah, I can see it. Kelsey, you going?
Yeah, get a load of this. Apparently Analog, the company that makes, you know, the NT Mini and the Super NT and the Analog Pocket and all that stuff, they apparently announce something on October 16th every year. And some people already knew this, I guess, but it was news to me. So I saw that like, oh, we're going to be announcing something else on the 16th. And someone in one of the Discords I was in was like, hey, what gives with this October 16th thing? And I looked it up, and yeah, 2017, they announced the Super NT. 2018, they announced the Mega SG. 2019, they announced the Pocket, et cetera, et cetera. And so they announce something every October 16th.
All right. Look forward to it, everybody. That's cool. Do you have an Analog Pocket thing?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't get one of the new, like, the transparent shell ones because I am still so disappointed by the Super NT that I got that was like the transparent one. What they showed on the website was this like crystal clear looking one, and it is a super cloudy transparent. It was a real excellent system, but very false advertising on the like transparency of the transparent ones.
Yuck.
It's not good.
Jeffem, did you have a good load of this?
Yeah, get a load of this. This is a video from a channel called Stand Up Maths that I watch too much of. And it's called Why Does This Balloon Have -1 holes in it? And it's a half-hour video talking about the maths behind how like mathematicians decide what a hole is and what constitutes a hole in different things. And he walks through a bunch of different examples, including balloons and a pair of pants. If you took the pants and you sewed the 2 legs shut, then how many holes would it have? And the answer surprises you every time because mathematicians, I don't know how they're... Chan in the chat is saying, God, I love Jeffem. Yeah, these are the kind of videos I watch. It's all super interesting, and it's a lot of math, and it's very weird, but you should check it out.
I wish you had been there when
answers.
Ben and I were trying to do basic 5th grade math.
For New Show Plus this week.
I wish you had been there. We were
It was embarrassing.
sweating.
It was rough.
We were sweating.
Jeffem, just to tie our weekends together, apparently, we're learning about this Ojibwe chief, and it's the coolest chief name I've ever heard in my life. His name was Hole in the Day. Isn't that a badass chief name? Okay, anyway, sorry. Haley, do you got one?
Nice.
It's a cool one. Get a load of this. Rocket League said they're going to stop allowing player-to-player trading in December, which apparently is a very big deal for that type of game. I didn't realize they allowed player-to-player trading, which I think is like a unique thing. So I read their terms and conditions as I like to do.
What can
And
you trade? Like skins or?
yeah, like car parts and stuff. Yeah. And so it's kind of revealed this whole background fraudulent market that goes on where people like hold car parts in escrow to like trade and like all this stuff. So they're all like, oh God, they like won't be able to do it. And then, like Psyonix, who's now owned by Epic. So this is all probably because Epic's like, all right, you need to be more Epic-y with your DLC or monetization methods and stuff like that. It's like Psyonix came out and they're like, any third-party service is fraudulent. Like, we never printed that from the start, because they're all kind of complaining now. And so, yeah, I mean, that's what their terms say. Like, that, it's just like such a weird thing how like it just destroys this secondary market that's completely fan-based. And like, as far as I know, I feel like as long as no actual money is changing hands, like, which would be like illegal, because then you're like having tax problems and tax evasion worries. But as long as you're just like trading things for other non-monetized, like, if I traded one car skin for one of those car little blinky things on the front that wiggle around, like if I did that on a third-party website, technically you're violating the terms, but they've let it happen all this time and it's kind of become part of that service. It's like, feels weird to revoke it, but I mean, they're totally free to. It's just like a weird thing that's happening that I think they tried to quietly release and they got a bunch of pushback. They're like, you cannot do this. People are doing like petitions, reverse the trade.
Change.org.
Yeah, literally like change.org petitions for Rocket League to keep trading in the game. Yeah.
Interesting. Jeff, would you pull one from the community Discord?
Yeah, get a load of this. This is from Michael Martyrs. And it's a link to a Carl Jobst video, which I hope I'm saying is his name right. But the video is called Impossible Doom Challenge Finally Completed After 30 Years. And there's basically been, obviously there are speed runs of levels in Doom. And one of the categories for it is how fast you can complete a level while killing 100% of the enemies in it. But the last level in the original Doom was always an exception, because when you get to the end of it, you kind of get stuck in this little place in the dark and it's full of enemies and they just all attack you at the same time. And the floor of the level also does damage to you. So you die within like 11 seconds is like the longest that you can live. And so the speedrunning community always assumed this is impossible. If you kill 63% of the enemies, which is all the other enemies before that part, that counts as a speed run. But I guess this one player, I think his name was Zero Masters, he decided to try it. And so he wrote this entire script, or, like a script that played through it like 5,000 times. And he figured out a way to do it. And then he studied that and he actually performed it himself. And so he's the only person who has ever beat it with 100% kills. And so now there's this big debate within the community because his time was much lower than the other ones. And it's like, well, technically you're the only one who's ever done it. So should that supersede all the other ones? But then there basically wouldn't be speed running for that level at that point, because he's the only one who's ever actually figured it out. And so the video goes through like kind of the entire history of it and everything, and it's very cool, entertaining and interesting.
Links below for all this fun stuff. Sarah, the ribbons on your shirt, it looks like a second pair of hands sometimes, and it kind of freaks me out.
It does.
Cool. That's it for this episode of the MinnMax Show. Thank you so much for watching or listening to this whole thing, everybody. Let's see. At MinnMax, we have, earlier this week, we had an interview with the CEO of Atari, Wade Rosen, who apparently lives in Minneapolis. And so he came by the MinnMax studio, which is fun to do a long in-person interview where he talks about how they own the rights to Bubsy again, our dear friends, and he's looking for an indie team to reach out. Also, we talk about Night Dive, who Atari acquired, and their remastered games, Quake 2, they have Dark Forces coming up. It was an interesting chat, so thanks to everybody who checked that out and is sending kind words about that interview.
I can't believe you put this man in your basement. That was the first thing I thought. Is like the Atari CEO came over to your house, and then immediately you were like, get in my basement.
Yeah, well,
and don't look at this large stuff he wasn't allowed to answer too. You
What's that?
There were some. You had some questions in there where he was like, I don't think I can answer that.
Oh, because of these lousy shareholders, they have to get the first info.
It was a great interview, though.
Oh, thank you.
Did you ask him what
Kelsey.
he thinks of that CeeLo Green lyric? If he's offended?
No, I didn't even get to that.
Xbox, no more Atari. No?
Round two. We'll
offended?
get him back to the studio. Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Sarah, do you think it's embarrassing? Do you think the basement, like, I think on camera it looks fine, but it's definitely like, laundry dangling off of a dryer just off camera. Do you think it's embarrassing to bring a CEO to? Is that the idea?
I mean, he came, so obviously not.
Well, he didn't walk out.
He didn't seem like, he didn't immediately turn around and go like, no, dude, I'm not getting into your basement.
It's a studio, Sarah. It's not a basement. Anyways.
I feel like maybe 10 years ago you would have wanted professionalism, but now it's all about authenticity, baby.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Also, on our YouTube channel and in the bonus podcast feed, if you want a lot more Final Fantasy VII discussion, we had a big spoiler-filled discussion about Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, because that weird mobile game contains something called First Soldier, which is a new origin story for Sephiroth. And so I got myself and a couple old high school friends, Grant and Ronnie, middle school friends, I suppose, to come over and we unpack all that stuff. So that also is in the bonus podcast feed, in addition to Haley and Sarah's big discussions about Baldur's Gate 3 and Party Chat, where we also talk about Ahsoka, all that fun stuff. Also, quick plug, we have a giveaway happening on MinnMax's Twitter account. If you check out our Twitter account, we're doing a giveaway for PAX Unplugged. You can win a free 3-day pass to PAX Unplugged, which is in Pennsylvania. So just retweet that tweet and you can get a free ticket to PAX Unplugged there if you're in that area. Also, a reminder, Trivia Tower, coming up on Tuesday, October 17th. We have Ash Parrish from The Verge joining us for Trivia Tower Tournament of Champions. If you support us on Patreon, even at that $2 tier, you can compete in game trivia and win a game code for Star Wars Jedi Survivor and a whole bunch more. Also, last thing on this end is Jacob Geller is doing a big charity stream called the SwordStream that's coming up Friday and Saturday, 24-hour stream. A bunch of us and other friends of the show and friends of Jacob's YouTube channel are going to be rotating through, encouraging him in the big marathon stream for charity. So you can check that out on Jacob Geller's Twitch channel, Leo. That's the place to be?
That's the place to be.
Okay, cool. Check it out, everybody. We'll put a link in the description for you as well. Anybody else got anything they're dying to scream about?
I just want to say that starts at 2 p.m. on Friday.
Thank you.
2 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern, Friday the 13th.
No! All right. Also, thank you to everybody at the Game Champion tier. If you join that $50 tier on Patreon, you're in the description for every MinnMax video and podcast. And then also you get a shout out on the show and you're in the big Game Championship poll. I don't know if you know this, but Maniac is the champion of Total War Warhammer 3. And TrampolineTales has declared themselves the champion of Luck Be a Landlord. So thank you everybody who supports us at that Game Champion tier. And that is truly it for this episode of the MinnMax Show podcast. On behalf of Jeffem, Haley, Sarah, Leo, Kelsey, and the entire crew, I guess we have a majority here right now. But thank you so much for supporting MinnMax and watching and listening to it. All right. Thanks so much, everybody. Be good. Have fun. Let's go.
For freaks by freaks.